Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the RFGeneration PlayCast, formerly known as the RFGeneration Community Playthrough Wrap-Up for November 2014. This is Sean, better known as Grey Ghost 81. We have a wonderful show filled with great conversation and a few very special guests. Keep in mind all spoilers are on the table, so make sure you've played the games before listening. On the modern side, I will be joined by Floyd and special guest bombatomba to discuss Irrational Games' breakthrough cult classic System Shock 2 for the PC. Over on the retro side, Rich, Jamie, and special guest RetroRage explore a game which many consider to be one of the finest games on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the SNES, and that game is Super Metroid. As always, you can listen to the show on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Log in to rfgeneration.com to join our playthroughs and discuss all the wonderful games we play. Don't just lurk. Sign in, sign up, and participate playing awesome games with a superb group of amazing people. Thank you as always for listening, and now, on with the show.
So, for the retro playthrough for the month of November, we played Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, a very, very popular game. With me, as always, on the retro side, and actually the host is techwizard Jamie. And we also have a special guest, RetroRage, who many of you know on the forums. His real name's Aaron, and that's what we'll be referring to him this call. Say hello, Aaron.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And before we get started, just wanted to mention that many of you who are familiar with our forums are probably noticed that our guest, Aaron, has recently completed a big portion of his collection. I'll go ahead and let him talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be eating top ramen for a while, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive set you got there.
No, yeah, I just finished that 32X set.
Right, absolutely.
Most of them are complete in box. There's a couple that I still have loose, but most of the heavy hitters are out of the way.
Absolutely, I saw that. Was it Deion Sanders game? It's World Series, I think, and the Spider-Man Web of Fire are the two that I know are really notorious for the 32X. Are there any others that are really hard to come by?
Yeah, Pitfall's really hard to find. That one's, it's probably more rare than the Deion Sanders game or Spider-Man. It's just not very well known. And the hardest part to get in that is the poster. No one ever finds the poster with that.
Yeah, and I didn't realize the actual game was tough to find. I knew the poster was, but I didn't know that about the actual game. So it's tough to find as well.
It's tough. It was, I think, about $100 locally. And then
just for the poster or the whole game?
Just for the game, just a loose game.
Oh, okay.
And then Razor Knuckles was nice enough to send me the box. For free. I was like, awesome. Oh, all right. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, big shout out to Razor Knuckles for that move. That's really great. And that's really what makes our site really awesome, too, to have members like that. So, really do appreciate it. Jamie, any games or anything that you're playing right now? I know you're playing on the modern side. You're playing the System Shock 2 right now. Are you delving into any other games at the moment?
Yeah, System Shock's the main thing right now. I'm still kind of working on my goal of finishing the entire Zelda series in order, but that's pretty slow going. I'm up to Majora's Mask, which I've already beaten before, and the next two games I don't actually own yet, so I'm kind of just taking my time with this one because I know I'm going to be at a bit of a stopping point pretty soon. Otherwise, though, not a whole lot.
Well, we've got our anniversary from our last Zelda playthrough coming up in January, so, there you go. I mean, maybe you can throw one of those in there to get closer to your goal. Now, you're playing those in order, is that right?
Yeah, release order, that is, not chronological order or anything. Chronological would be a bit nuts, I think, with the multiple storylines they've got going on and everything.
Awesome. Cool. How about you, Aaron? You playing anything else right now?
Not really. I got to share the TV with the wife.
Oh, yeah. Hi, wife. Don't be
So-
don't be mad at him.
Yeah,
Finishing
she
that
says hi.
32X collection.
She says hi. She's walking around angry.
Aaron
because
kicked her
I'm
out of the house tonight. I just want to
mentioning
point that out. That's a true story. He told me that earlier. So I hope his wife is listening to this.
She actually is. She just walked through the door.
Oh no.
Yeah, right. So now I gotta watch what I say. That'd be nice.
Absolutely. How about you, Single Banana? What are you playing right now? Well, guys, I am playing. I'm playing 999 on the DS.
Oh, heard a lot about that one.
Yeah. We actually got a recommendation to play this one of the months, and hopefully we'll go back to a handheld console. I'm really enjoying this game right now. I've just started it today. I've probably put in 3 hours or so today on it. Handhelds are just really easy to go through, and the good thing about it is that it has multiple endings, so I can choose other paths if we are to play it again, and so that's a really awesome option. So, even though I'm playing it right now, it's something I enjoy enough to, maybe if we play it another year or two, it'd be pretty cool. So
Yeah, that'd make a good playthrough, I think.
yeah. Well, guys, that was fun. So let's kind of get into what we're here for. Of course, we asked Aaron to be on the call because he appears to be, he and Jerry Greenwood appear to be two of our Super Metroid aficionados on the site. We were really excited to have them play this month with us. Least excited about seeing runtimes of 1 hour and 26 minutes, which made us completely sick. But yeah, awesome. So absolutely welcome to the show. And without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Jamie just to kind of talk about Super Metroid and what it's about.
Yeah, some basics on it. It's just a sci-fi adventure game for the Super Nintendo, released in '94. It's considered by many to be the best game of all time, and it was critically acclaimed, though apparently sales weren't that great. And from what Wikipedia is saying here, that it didn't actually meet the requirements for the Player's Choice Award, but they gave it anyways, just
Really?
because it was so acclaimed and
Wow, that's
so well
shocking.
received. Yeah.
That is
that's
shocking, yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising. I mean, that was the implication I got through Wikipedia anyways. It wasn't too clear, but they were saying that it was poor sales, but critically acclaimed, and so it was given the award anyways.
And that's funny because, I think one of the big things this month we were talking about was how many people, this was sort of like a first time for them playing the game.
Yeah, myself included.
Mine too. I mean, which is completely odd. And I know I was on the forums with Jerry Greenwood just the other day, and he was like, I can't believe you guys played this. It got like awesome reception, and everybody I knew was playing it, and that wasn't the case for me. And Jamie, I know you're younger than I am. And Aaron told me he's 30, so we've got kind of a good range. I'm 37, so kind of got a good range of when this came out. What year did this come out, Jamie?
94?
94. Okay, so
Yeah.
I was a junior or senior in high school when this came out. So one of the reasons I probably never played it is because I was chasing girls.
Yeah.
And I
You're
guess
kind of in that middle ground where you're a little too old for it, but not quite at the point where you're at the collecting nostalgia trip levels.
absolutely. I mean, I think everyone goes through that. I think there's this period of everyone's life where they put down video games for a while, but then they come back to them. And I think that was a big thing for me. I think in middle school I played a lot, and in high school I kind of put games down. And when I got back into college, you've got all that free time in college, right? Between classes, all that time you're supposed to be studying to actually play games. And so that's my roommate and I picked that back up then. Yeah.
That's pretty much how it works for me too.
Oh, really? Same
Yeah.
deal, huh? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
But I don't know. I was 10 when this game first came out.
Okay, so
wow.
you're kind of around the sweet spot then.
Now, did you pick it up around launch, or soon thereafter, or when did you first play it?
I didn't get the game until high school. My friend had it, so I played it at his house all the time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
No,
you
my
were
first
10,
yeah, I was 10. But
and
my first Nintendo game I ever played was Metroid. So when this game came out, I was really excited.
oh,
I was like,
okay.
oh yeah.
Cool. So we have something in common then, because I was gonna kind of share my my testimony, if you will. My first game was Metroid as well. I had one Christmas my grandmother had bought me a telescope, and it was a display telescope, and so I took it back to the store and traded it in because they did not have any more for Nintendo, which my parents were really upset about.
That's kind of dirty.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have any more telescopes. My grandmother was okay. She was like, I just want him to have what he wants. So, it was cool. But, so I got the Nintendo. I got it home, and I realized, hey, where's the game in this Nintendo? And I had gotten it at the time they had released the ones that had the strategy guides with them. Do you guys know the strategy guides? The official Nintendo strategy guide, the black book.
I know the guides, but I didn't actually realize it came with any systems. Huh.
Sure did. It actually came with the systems, and they did not have a pack-in game. So not only were my parents mad at me, but I had to beg them to take me to the store and loan me the money to get a game so I would actually have something to play on the system. Lo and behold, I picked Metroid and was not able to purchase another game until probably 4 to 6 months later. So this is all I had to play. Imagine that being your first Nintendo game, right?
That's definitely a pretty big trial by fire there.
Yeah, I was, 5?
Oh, wow.
When I got Metroid, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I didn't care. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
I got that, and I got Super Mario Brothers with it, and I was like, nah.
Oh, really?
Metroid. Screw Mario Brothers.
Really? So you actually played more Metroid than Super Mario Brothers?
Oh, yeah. I chose it over Mario Brothers.
Wow.
That's liked everything about it better.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, I would think most people would probably go with Mario, just being the, kind of the heavy hitter of the time. Everyone loves Mario. And
a bit easier, I think, too.
Oh, much easier. Gosh, the difficulty on the first Metroid. And that's the thing, I had written down. Everyone's asking me, why did it take you so long to play this game? And, I was probably chasing girls. But the other thing is the first Metroid was so unbelievably difficult, and I had heard that Super Metroid was just as hard, if not harder, from so many other people. I don't know, but did anybody else fall into this rumor as well?
Yeah, I think I felt sort of the same way, that the impression I got was it's a really difficult game, and that every 2D Metroid game was supposed to be really difficult, and then you go around to playing it, and it's like, oh, that's not nearly as bad as I expected. I mean, there's maybe 3 spots I kind of got a bit stuck on for a while, but nothing really overwhelming.
I thought it was much easier. They put the map in there. They cleaned up the controls. You could angle your shots. It was much easier, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Really, whenever you get a map, too, it's not that difficult to figure it out. And, if you just explore every room, if you get stuck, then eventually you'll find something to do. Yeah.
For the regular Nintendo, you'd have to resort to making your own maps. And even that didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, the map system in this game is phenomenal. I mean, at some point we're going to talk about Symphony of the Night. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, these two games, Castlevania borrows from this game, but one of the great things is the map feature, and that you can look at the map and you can see areas that have not been explored yet, and you're able to look and try to figure out ways to explore portions of that map. So I think the map system in this game was, in itself, a fantastic add-on to this game. I don't remember the original having a map, in fact.
No, it didn't.
You just kind of had to draw everything out block ways, or with grid paper, or just memorize it, which is probably what I did at the time when I was a kid. I was pretty much too lazy for graph paper, to be honest.
And then when those stupid password save systems didn't have that?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So I want to talk a little bit about the basic story of what's going on here, because this is the actual, I don't know that many people know this, but this is actually sort of it's the third game in this series. There was a Metroid 2 that was in between that I imagine a lot of people didn't play because it was on the handheld. It was on the original Game Boy. But that second game actually really ties in the first and the third games. So I did want to kind of give an idea of sort of a short history, if you will, of sort of what's going on. So, Aaron, you want to kind of tell us a little bit about the first Metroid game and sort of what's going on there, a little bit of the story, and just kind of summarize it. Nothing large.
Well, yeah, the first Metroid was Samus Aran, whatever her name is.
Right.
She went to the planet Zebes to eradicate the the space pirates, I think.
Absolutely, space pirates.
Yeah, they wanted to utilize the Metroids to take over the galaxy and just wreak havoc, basically.
Right.
And
exactly.
so she killed the mother brain, escaped. The galaxy was at peace
Once
for
again.
a minute or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then she went to the next planet. What is it? SR 388.
Right.
I think was the name of it. And so she wanted to finish the job. She wanted to kill all of them.
Yep. This is Metroid 2 that he's
Yes, it's Metroid 2, the one
okay.
on the Game Boy.
Absolutely.
And so she killed most of them except for one. There was the larva that was hatched.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was following her around, and for some reason she didn't kill it, right?
Right. That's exactly right.
Instead, she turned it over to these scientists at a research station. And I guess they figured out that they could harness the Metroid's energy for good.
Right. Right, because Metroids are energy-draining creatures.
Right.
But I think they were figuring out that they could use that for the cause of good, and maybe actually, as we actually see in this game, they can actually add energy as well. They can deplete or hand over energy, and so I think that's what they were sort of looking into. And
yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Absolutely, absolutely. We don't worry about spoilers here, Aaron. So
Sure.
feel free to talk.
So yeah, after she delivered the Metroid to the series station, she's like, all right, well, my job's done here. I'm going to go to McDonald's, whatever she did. And basically,
McDonald's, right?
yeah. And as soon as she left, the station was under attack again.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Mother Brain and her buddies.
Yep.
They came back.
Back for revenge.
Drat, that old Ridley coming back.
Yeah.
Still in the old Metroid, and to use it for evil once again. And that's where you start off in Super Metroid, with a sort of the delivering the Metroid, going to McDonald's, and then coming back and fighting Ridley. And that's where we start off in Super Metroid. So great synopsis there.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to mention really quick, if you have not played Metroid 2, I've been told you really need to play it. It's a great game in the series, and it is often forgotten about just because it is on the Game Boy. There's a guy who's actually remaking Metroid 2 right now, and you can actually download the game. He has not finished it yet, but it is amazing. I mean, full color, complete enhancement of the graphics. It's
That's awesome.
It's stunning, and it's a great remake. I would say download it. I mean, I don't know if this is ever going to be taken down, or how they're going to let him continue, if they're going to let him continue to do it. But I really hope someone does contact him and lets him continue to do it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, put out a physical copy of this, because that would be simply amazing. So
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to play that.
Absolutely. And seriously, check out the site when you get a chance, Aaron. It's just mind-blowing what he's done with these graphics.
Yeah, for sure.
Videos and stuff.
I never actually played Metroid 2 until the Collector Cast, when Duke was talking about his pile of shame and Metroid 2 being on his.
Wow, that wasn't long ago either.
No, it wasn't.
So did you play Metroid 2? Did you beat Metroid 2?
Yeah, I got halfway to it, and then the volume died on my Game Boy. So I'm like, great.
Oh.
So I got to get a new one.
No, the rotten capacitors probably.
Yeah, probably.
Fix that.
All right, well, I'll find one of these days.
Absolutely. So one thing that I do want to talk about is sort of the obvious tie-ins to the Alien franchise, and I know this has probably been covered by a lot of podcasts and people talking about it, but even the developer mentioned that there were, he was greatly influenced by the Aliens movies and the Alien series, and I think it's pretty evident in this game and also in the history of Metroid.
I don't have any experience with that myself, because I'm not actually too versed on the Alien series. I haven't seen any of them, actually.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I'm not really a big scary movie kind of guy, but
okay.
I can definitely see, just from vaguely knowing what sort of movies they are and the connections there are there.
Right.
It does seem like there's some similarities.
Well, they definitely are. There's the boss Ridley.
Absolutely.
Then who is the director? Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott. And then the character's name that Sigourney Weaver plays is Ripley. So, obvious tie-in there.
Yep, and Samus is a female.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Mother
Brain is a female who she goes and battles sort of the Queen Alien in the second installment, right? and yeah, there's several, just kind of important things. Let's see, the obvious sort of alien landscape, in the game, I think is, sort of another tie-in. But even the young Metroid, that Samus attaches itself to her. There is in Alien 3. There is gosh, I don't really want to spoil this for anyone who has not seen Alien 3, but
it's been 20 years. I'm sure it's okay now.
Cover your ears.
And I don't have
I
any
think
plans
someone
on
said that to
seeing
me
it,
in a
so.
forum recently. It's been 20 years. Yeah, that was on Twitter. So, but yeah, Sigourney Weaver is impregnated by an alien, and sort of gives birth to a little baby alien. So there is that obvious tie-in as well to that portion of the series. Jamie, if you haven't seen these movies, even if you're not a horror fan, I would say that these movies are definitely worth checking out, because to me, probably the sci-fi outweighs the horror for me. They never really bothered me. I don't know. Maybe I might be the only one. But I know when they first came out, they were pretty horrific films. They scared a lot of people. But
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm pretty lightweight with horror movies. We'll say that. So I think I'd probably pass, even if I know that they're supposed to be good.
Yeah, it was pretty gory.
yeah.
But I think as far as the tie-ins go, I think there's a channel on YouTube, Did You Know Gaming, I think, and it talks about all the tie-ins between Metroid and Aliens. It's pretty interesting to watch.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure. So one of the things I did want to talk about is a little bit about how Super Metroid holds up as far as being a sequel to the previous games. There's obviously, for me, never playing the second game, I feel like I missed out on some of the other things that I could definitely talk about and tie in. But from playing only the first game, what I really enjoyed was the way that they incorporated some of the same weapons, same abilities from the first game into this one. There was a lot of what I felt like was familiar territory, moving from only playing the original on the Nintendo to playing, Part 3 on the Super Nintendo.
I had the exact same feeling myself, but it was in reverse, because I only knew the Metroid Prime trilogy, and I was going backwards with the series. I haven't played the first two. And I've noticed a ton of stuff that the first Metroid Prime game basically just copied over. And it was interesting to see just how developed the series was earlier on, when I thought everything felt fairly new and exciting in the other ones. And it's like, oh, it's been back here too.
Right.
Yeah, well, it definitely stands out. It's probably easily the best game of the three. It's definitely polished up in every way. The controls, the weapons, they polished that up. In the first game, if you remember, once you picked up a new weapon, you would lose your old one.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that. Yeah,
and in this one, you can mix and match. You can turn off the spacer and turn on the wave beam, and you'd get a completely different outcome.
That's something I never messed with, and I don't know that I knew I could do that. I could tell that, that there were, certain attributes, with, each weapon, but I was kind of like, I picked up the wave beam, and I was like, why are my shots not wavy? Why do I not have the wave beam? And I never knew until I'd finished the game that you could actually manipulate and turn those things off. So I never really got to experiment with the weaponry in this game. Did Jamie, being your first time playing, did you experiment a little more with the wepartry and stuff? Did you know you could do that?
I was changing them around quite a bit, because it seemed like sometimes certain combinations did more damage than others, and partway through the game I just was curious, and so I looked up a guide just to see which combinations did more damage, if at all, and there was quite a bit of a difference. Like, one of the combinations actually does the same amount of damage with a charge shot as a super missile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think it was like wave, ice, and plasma together.
Okay.
I think that charged up would give you a super missile equivalent. So that was super useful against Ridley, because I was stuck on Ridley until I figured that out. And then once I did that, I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about missiles now. I can just keep using this.
Okay. Well, how about you, Aaron? As a seasoned gamer, are there any combinations that you like to use more than others? I mean, is this something you typically manipulate? You just go full blast, just keep firing? How do you play it?
Yeah, I wouldn't really turn anything off. I think the more you pick up, you just keep using them.
Okay.
There's only a few situations I could think of where you'd turn a couple off, in speed runs especially.
Okay.
The Fantoon fight. That ghost guy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, the skull thing.
That's an aggravating one. Yes.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
he's a pain in the butt. He's very random. Um, I think you turn off. What do you turn off? The spazer, Jamie?
Oh.
You can turn it off, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think you
which one helped.
just keep the wave beam turned on and select power bombs, and you
Okay.
charge that up, and you get this weird shield thing. And a lot of speedrunners like to call it the X factor. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
as soon
Yeah,
as
that one.
Fantoon opens his eyes, you try to get into the center of his eye, and it's the equivalent of 4 super missiles at once.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So other than that, there's really no use to turn off any of the weapons.
Yeah, I didn't realize just how much damage that did. I mean, I knew it seemed to help me against that boss just because it was easier to hit him, but yeah, I had no idea that it was that powerful.
And I honestly had no idea that these weapon combos existed. I mean, I think I was listening to a podcast after I'd finished my playthrough of the game, and I just listened to a random podcast about it, and someone mentioned it, and I was like, no way, really? I mean, that you can really do that in this game? I mean, again, it's another testament to this game, just how well thought out it was, and just all the added weaponry and abilities. It's fantastic. Going
all
from
little
one to the other.
little clever surprises that are hidden in the game
Yeah.
that they don't
for
really
free
have to
playthrough.
hold your hand. You just got to kind of figure it out on your own if you get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll probably let you talk about those a little bit. I mean, what are some of those hidden surprises that you're referring to? I know there's like a speed ball or something like that. I've heard about. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there's this thing. It's called the mock ball.
Right, that's it.
It's kind of like an upper level trick that speedrunners use to, get around the map a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
The first place you use it is to get past the spore spawn, so you don't have to fight him at all. You can skip him.
Oh, wow.
I think the first red door, when you get into Brinstar on the right side, there's this disappearing bridge, and as you go across the bridge, there's gates that come down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody figured out that if you jump, duck twice, and as soon as you hit the ground, you maintain your running speed. So you can get across the bridge and under the gates before it closes.
Wow.
And yeah, that's just one of the many things that people just figure out playing this game for hours. And I don't think it's necessarily intended when they made the game, but people kind of figured it out and have exploited it. And
Yeah. And I think even though there are these things in this game that are not intended that people do exploit, I think one of the things I really like about this game is it has the feeling that it was made specifically for people to speedrun. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure feels
maybe
that
I'm
way.
wrong. I mean, maybe it's all just coincidence, but I feel like, when you have a game and when you finish a game and it gives you your time and you get different endings based on your time, I feel like that's telling me there are quicker ways to finish this game. So, in fact, there have to be secrets and things to unlock to be able to speedrun, or different places to go, beforehand.
yeah,
Well, it's just poor quality assurance testing.
this game is definitely very dynamic for speedrunning. A lot of speedrunning games, they get kind of boring pretty quickly because, the runners they'll exploit one game mechanic and they'll use that over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But in Super Metroid, there's, I don't even know how many, 10, 15 different tricks you got to figure out and master the techniques to get through the game.
Never watched a speed run. Haven't watched one yet. I'm
Yeah,
curious
oh,
now. Definitely
so
will have
good.
to do that.
I think I posted a link on the first page. There's a 4-way race between the best players in the world at last year's AGDQ. And they finished the game in less than 45 minutes.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
And that's in-game time, too. That's from start to finish. I think at the end of the game, their total complete time is like less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
ridiculous.
Wow.
I know Metroid Prime was also a pretty heavily speedrun game. Like there's a Metroid 2002 website that seems dedicated to the Prime series, and speedrunning them. And I tried actually a few of the techniques, and some of them are pretty easy to pull off once you figure them out. It just seems like that series there was really broken in a lot of ways, like so many ways you can glitch through walls and all this different stuff to sequence break, and it was pretty fun though, just fiddling around with it and experimenting and finding new ways to play.
Yeah, there's not so many glitches in Super Metroid or clips. I think there's one or two parts that you clip through to speedrun. The rest is just pure technique. And I think that's what makes the game so good and why people keep coming back to it so much.
Yeah. Not so many holes in the fabric of the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not a modern gamer per se. I play some modern games or more modern games. But is that something sort of in the modern gaming world? Are speedruns sort of still a thing? I mean, because most of the speedruns I've seen are in, probably PlayStation 1 and back, games. Are modern games set up for speedrunning too? Is that still a thing? Or, are they designed for that? Or is that something that you see mostly with retro games?
No, I think it always will be. You've been to Twitch. Everybody's been to Twitch.
Right.
And they've got all types of games, modern, retro. People speedrun it constantly. I think Speed Demos Archive, they specialize in speedrunning, and there's nothing but modern stuff and retro stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just that the retro stuff's been around more, and it's kind of more popular for these kind of people who've been playing them for years, because a lot of these techniques take that much time just to figure out for the initial person to find them. And it's just less likely that there's going to be a modern one, I think, than a retro.
Yep. There still are, though, for sure, though. At the AGDQ marathons, there's, Wii U games that are being played. So I think it'll always be around. It's just the community's there.
Actually, that reminds me that, a little off-topic tangent here, but that new Sonic game, Sonic Boom, on Wii U, apparently it's already been broken. And people are speedrunning it. I think the day of release, someone beat it in an hour.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So go to GameStop and pick up your used copies of Sonic Boom.
Yeah. Before they patch it.
Or Sonic 06.
Yeah.
So actually, we were talking a little bit about maps earlier, and we were talking about how the game kind of works in this way of having sort of these weapons and such that are sort of old reliables. But I want to talk about some of the new weaponry that's sort of introduced in this game. And Aaron, I think you'll be able to, for myself, never having played the second one, I can mention some things, and I'm not sure if what's been added and what hasn't been added. I actually thought that the spring ball was something that had been added to Super Metroid, but in fact I found out that's not true. That was actually in the second one as well. Yes, it was. It's what I've heard. I think it is. I know Space Jump was as well.
I know there's the spider ball in Metroid 2, but I don't know if I got far enough to get to the spring ball.
Okay. What was the spider ball, if you don't mind me asking?
It just allows you to stick to the walls so you can climb on the ceilings and whatnot.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty cool little thing.
Yeah, they carried it over to Metroid Prime there, and in that there's these kind of magnetic tracks, and it turns your ball into a magnetic sort of force there, and you can cling to them.
Yeah. Well, some of the things I did notice, I did like about the game, I did like not only the missiles, but the super missiles, the addition of that. I don't know anything about the second game. I know it wasn't in the first. The bombs, the super bombs, the regular bombs, I thought that was a really good addition. And then you had the grappling beam and the X-ray scope, which pretty much covers the items that were in your utility at the top of your screen. The grappling beam, from what I understand, was probably a newer addition. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that was new to the game, new to the series.
Probably added it in because of the fact that you can do those angled shots, made it a little easier to work with that.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually really enjoyed the grappling beam. I liked the design and the idea behind the grappling beam. I wasn't crazy about the mechanic of it. I felt like there were a lot of rooms I got stuck in a lot of times because I kept missing jumps because I would shoot it out straight or I would shoot at an angle and I would miss my intended target. I always felt like, for me, I kind of wish that there was some sort of it was sort of like there's some sort of like magnetism to it where you could just like kind of throw it out and it would automatically hit the target that you were, as long as you got close enough, you know, to aim toward it. I thought that would have been a much better mechanic for that weapon. And that, I don't know, am I the only one here? Was that a little bit of an aggravating tool to use?
It was a little bit frustrating, but I was kind of used to it because I think I mentioned somewhere that the Worms series, especially Worms 2 and Worms Armageddon, had the Ninja Rope, which worked on a very similar system for the physics of the way you swing and jump and grab on in midair and stuff. And so that helped me a lot because I was already used to that, which I found was actually more difficult than Super Metroid. And so going into this, it sort of was already ingrained in my mind on how to use it, and it didn't give me that much trouble most of the time. Just a few rooms where you were supposed to swing from one to the other all the way across a long gap, and it was pretty difficult at times, but
No, I hate that thing.
Manageable.
I hate that stupid thing.
Oh, really?
So, oh man.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only
I
one.
mean, it was pretty easy to use most of the time, you know, when all the grappling slots were just lined up perfectly. But there's one room in Meridia
Yes.
that constantly gave me fits.
It's that really huge room, isn't it?
Yes. Oh man. And there's that weird electric octopus floating thing
yes,
you
that
try to
floats to
hook
the
up
top.
to.
Yes.
And then it explodes.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Oh my gosh. You read my
I hate that
mind.
room.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Once you get good enough with wall jumping, you kind of don't really need the grappling hook anymore.
I think I was more frustrated by wall jumping than the grappling hook. But
Yeah.
I was like throwing my controller about that on the first room where you're supposed to learn how to use it.
Wall jumping's fun.
Yeah.
It's the only way to get around.
Yeah.
I could live without it.
It's a great device. I also was frustrated with the wall jumping. I mean, I'll admit I had some parts that were really tough for me, and there are a lot of podcasts about this out there, and everyone wants to call this the perfect game. My opinion is there's not a perfect game. I mean, there's always going to be something that you can look to and say that could be better. And I understand, that wall jumping is something that takes practice, but I was watching one podcast and they were showing some video of their 6-year-old son wall jumping. I was like, well, congratulations. That doesn't prove anything. I mean, that was really irritating to me when I saw that. I was like, it is. I mean, for a first time player, and Aaron, I know that you've probably mastered this and you understand the technique, but for a first time player, I mean, that is a very, very frustrating part of the game to learn and to deal with. I mean, there were rooms I was stuck in for 15 minutes or more where I definitely threw my controller a few times.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
No, it's hard to figure out, especially since the only way you learn the wall jump is from those 3 little goat dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the bottom of Brinstar. Other than that, you're on your own.
Right. And there's no one to tell you there's no tutorial or anything to tell you exactly how to do it. That you got to kind of drop a little bit, and push.
I think that was the best tip ever because a friend of mine told me that exact same thing. He said you have to let it drop a little bit before jumping. It was like you drop opposite direction on the D-pad and then hit A, and like all in that order every time.
Yeah, similar with the space jump too, right? You got to drop a little bit.
Yeah, I think the space jump has more problems than the wall jump.
Mm-hmm.
I was the opposite. I think the space jump was a little easier, at least for me, anyways.
Well, I mean, I just didn't understand it. Sometimes you'd be jumping, and then for no reason you'd just fall. You'd plummet.
Yeah, I guess that was a problem sometimes.
You have to drop a little bit. The space jump for me was easy to go. Like if I was going completely horizontally, it was easy. Mm-hmm. But if I was like going vertically, it became tougher because a lot of times you were in tight spaces and you had to change direction.
Yeah,
and you would go out of your spin, and that's where you would always run into problems.
That's where it killed me.
Yeah, I think I found it easier if you kind of combine that with the wall jumping. Like if you need to go higher, changing direction, to just do a quick wall jump if you're able to. Mm-hmm. And I found that made the direction change a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. So
you got to see some of these freak speedrunners do this wall jumps, though.
I'm sure. Yeah,
man.
I'm sure it's amazing, and knowing that it's it's possible for people to do this and for people to master this technique. I mean, it makes me feel a lot better about the game. But for a beginner, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough mechanic to learn.
Yeah.
So So I just want to go ahead and get that gripe out of the way because I mean, it's, if you haven't been on the forums, I mean, this game's fantastic. I mean, I think everyone, especially the people who've played it for the first time, are really, really enjoying this game. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think who is it? I think Sloman, Metal Fro, and Monster Tomster, and you two guys. It was your first time playing this game.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's interesting to
at least 5 people.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual because of how popular this game is. Okay. I wouldn't expect so many people to be their first time playing through it.
Yeah, and out of the people who signed up to play, we've so far only had 2 that, as of this recording, haven't started it yet, but everyone else in the whole list here has at least started, if not finished it.
Yeah. And while we're at it, let me go ahead and just mention the names of the people we have participating this month.
Sure. So,
this is a good little segue here. We've got Beauchamp, who has not started it yet. As of this recording, I might say, Duke Togo is actually joining us this month. We're really happy to have him from the Collector Cast. I'm sure many of our listeners are listening to the Collector Cast too. If you're not, be sure to check them out on Podomatic or at collectorcast.com. Duke has finished the game already.
In one sitting, I might add.
Absolutely, and I don't know that was this his first time playing. No, I don't think it was his first time playing.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I think he finished in like 6 hours.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, Jamie and I both finished in a little over 8, which I thought was pretty good for a first time playing through.
I was pretty happy with that.
Jerry Greenwood is playing it as well, and he's another one of these guys that loves to speedrun this game. Metal Fro, one of our new site members, and I think it's Monster to Master. I think that's how that's pronounced. The way it's sort of written out. Yeah, the vowels are taken out. So if I'm pronouncing that wrong, call me out on the forums, please.
That makes a lot more sense than Monster Tomster.
And it could be Monster Tomster. Yeah, I don't know. Monster to Master. Whatever. So anyway, he's playing it for the first time. Rado is playing it, who was actually on our podcast before, Mr. from Down Under. Of course, RetroRage, who is joining us on the call right now. Myself, Slowman, who I'm really surprised has never played this game because he is a Castlevania Symphony of the Night freak. And seeing him play this game for the first time is pretty, shocking because he loves Castlevania so much, and then just seeing his comment on the forum about how, I think, what did he say? I started at noon and it's 9 o'clock now and I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Could not put it down.
I think I read that he was lost for hours, just trying to find his way around.
But he's like, but I don't care. And like, awesome. That's the best way to play this game. Just don't care. And
I really feel like if someone likes Castlevania, they need to play this game, and vice versa. If you like this, you need to play Castlevania.
It's funny because I was really the opposite of Slowman. I'm a black belt in this game, but I've never picked up Symphony of the Night.
Wow.
So as soon as I played that, I fell in love with it. Where's it been my whole life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think we could have picked 2 better games to play side by side, and not be on purpose. we had planned out The funny thing is, we'd planned out Castlevania Symphony of the Night for, since last October. I said, I'm doing another Castlevania game. I'm going to do Symphony of the Night. Everybody loves Symphony of the Night. Let's do that. So we'd planned it, for a year or more, and then everyone was clamoring about playing Super Metroid. So Jamie was like, I think I'm gonna do Super Metroid. We've been doing a lot of PlayStation games. I'm gonna go back to the Super Nintendo. I think I'm gonna do Super Metroid. She's like, all right, cool. We'll do that in November. And so there we go. It did. It worked out perfectly.
Worked out really well.
And then I'll mention, absolutely, Jamie's playing, of course. And then one more player, we've got Wimpster, who mentioned the other day that he was just now getting started. That he was gonna be late getting started on this, but that he was playing this month. So I do think we're gonna have full participation.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Everyone. Who said that they were going to play this month. So
it's always a little bit rare to get full participation because some people they think they can play and then at the last minute something comes up where they're busier than they expected to be, and it's always nice when you can get everyone who signed up is fully able to play through.
Yeah. We get that a lot on the playthroughs. We get a lot of people who, are really excited when we announce a game, they want to play it, but, life gets in the way sometimes. It happens to all of us, and, it's unfortunate. We love to talk to people on the forums about these games, and it just makes it so much more exciting during the month to see that to see those pages start filling up on the forums. And in the last 2 months, it's been happening a lot. A lot of good discussion. And
I've got to say, we've got to hopefully get more participation on System Shock there, because it's a lot of fun so far, and I definitely think it deserves more attention than it's getting.
But yeah, so we've had a good month, and just really happy about the participation with this game.
Mm-hmm.
We did mention a little bit about the controls. We're talking about the jumping, which we've gotten into a little bit already. But there's something else that you can really do in this game that I really think's cool and a great addition, and that's the crouching. From the first game, anytime you would push down, you would automatically turn into the morph ball. But now they've added a sort of a crouching feature, which I think is it makes sense, right? It just makes sense. I mean, everyone should be able to crouch without turning into a ball.
Yeah, Mega Man.
So that's a great feature. There's the shooting also, where you can shoot in different directions. And from what I know of Metroid 2, that was something you could also do in Metroid 2, was at least shoot down. I know.
Yeah. You can crouch too, can't you?
I can't remember.
I think you can crouch.
Again, I've only watched a little bit of the gameplay, so I don't know, but possibly. But just kind of tying into that, I just really think that, this being a sequel, everything that's added on from the first game, because really, again, for me, that's the only two I had to compare in my experience. But everything that's added on just feels so wonderful and necessary. Nothing feels forced. It all works well and is integrated well into the game. You have to pick up certain items, and you can't move on to other areas until you've actually picked up certain items. It just really flows well.
Yeah.
In that sense.
I think they did that a lot with a lot of Super Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are kind of remakes more than sequels, and Super Metroid is no exception. It's kind of a tip of the cap to the old game. They start you out in the first part.
Mm-hmm.
The same place that starts you out in the first game, and
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely some connections there. And
Right.
Also, what you're saying there about the crouching, have you guys heard of the sort of reception of Super Metroid and
I know what you're gonna say.
people who have never played it before, mostly younger gamers, on the Virtual Console?
yeah,
You've heard
yeah,
of this?
I've seen the tweets and the pictures.
Yeah. Why can't Metroid crawl?
Yep.
Yeah. All these new gamers who they can know how to crouch, but then they don't know how to turn into the morph ball. It's like people just don't quite understand how old games work for some reason. I always found that really hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime I have the opportunity to laugh at younger gamers, I definitely do it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, all of our younger listeners. Please
Yeah.
follow us. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of great things going on in this game. We were talking about shooting in different directions. I really like the controls. How the actual Super Nintendo controller, you can use the your top buttons, your left and right top buttons, to 1 points up and then 1 points down.
Mm-hmm. Or if you do both together, it points straight up.
Oh, really?
Really? I didn't even know that.
No?
Oh,
Wow, I figured out something that the old pros didn't.
wow. There you go.
Yeah, no, I think in the instruction manual it mentions that. Like if you hold both of them, it'll point straight up.
Bah, who needs a manual? Don't need no stinking tutorials.
Yeah. I found it pretty useful on a couple of bosses actually.
Yeah.
On Fantoon it was pretty helpful, and
Ridley
some
probably
others.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess one of the other small issues that I maybe had about the game involved the controls, and that was the switching between the sort of the 6 different weapons up top. Your super missiles, super bombs, and I guess it was only 5. Super bomb, your grappling hook, and your X-ray scope. By the way, I love the X-ray scope addition to this game. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, it's so fun. Searching every room, looking for little paths, and it's great.
Yeah, it's sort of like, okay, well, let's try to make this game a little less annoying, than the first game, and allow people to actually look for these spaces that they can bomb or do whatever to. But as I was kind of going back to what I was saying about the controls, I wasn't a real big fan of using the select button to move between items.
Yeah, it's a bit tedious sometimes.
Yeah, that button being sort of close to your directional pad finger, and just having to switch over and hit that it's a little tedious.
Well, you didn't have to. You could also item cancel.
Yeah, for canceling, but I
If
mean
you
to
pre-
actually select it initially too.
Yeah,
I think you press X. I think it just cancels it and it takes you back to your normal beam.
okay.
Yeah, to get out of it, but to initially choose each of the items, it was a bit of a hassle.
Right. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a small gripe. For me, what would have been great is to being able to map it to maybe the left and right buttons and move left and right, with the left and right buttons doing that. But that would have taken out the directional, so the directional pose for shooting, which would present, another problem, just using the directional pad to try to fire at an angle, which is, much tougher. So, for me, it's a small thing that I would have probably liked to seen improved, but again,
Yeah, I think the way I would have liked to have it is have it where you hold up and then hit some combination of buttons, maybe just like hold up and then hit X or Y, and that instantly selects one of two items, and then maybe L and R for some other ones, and
yeah,
something like that,
yeah. But for the effort and the time that this game was released, I mean, there's not a lot you can say about that, or not a lot negative you can say about that. So
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, but it was just a little bit annoying at times.
yeah, I thought the controls overall for this game were extremely smooth and just really well done, and felt just felt really nice.
Yeah, you can move really quickly through the whole world, and it was great. Like you get into the rhythm of wall jumping and all that once you figure it out, and you just fly through everything, blasting your way through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Movement is definitely perfect.
Mm.
There's not. I have one complaint. Not one complaint about it.
Right, and I mean, with the fluidity of movement, it works well with the sort of the backtracking element of this game as well. I mean, with everything being so fluid and getting these upgrades and items and stuff, even if you have to backtrack to certain areas, it's usually smooth and fast.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're going through Meridia, where you got to use that grappling hook in that one.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
So, but anyway, something else that I really liked about the game is the enemies and the sub bosses and the bosses, and how a lot of these things were even a kickback to the original game. You see a lot of the same enemies. We see this a lot in the Castlevania series, where you have a lot of enemies and sub bosses like Death, who will continually make appearances in games, and for me, I really feel like characters like Kraid and Ridley are as much a part of this game as Mother Brain. I mean, they're in every game, and I mean, they feel like if you don't have those two there, I mean, it's like this can't be a Metroid game, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a tip of the cap to the old games. You love to see them.
Yeah,
they got to be in there.
They did kind of drop out Kraid from the newer ones, but they kept Ridley through most of them.
Yeah, and even like another tip of the cap I notice is like when you're going to and forgive me, I can't remember the name of the area where Mother Brain is at the end of the game.
Turian.
Yeah.
Turian, that's right. Even like from the first game, there's this part where you have to shoot these, in the original Metroid, you have to shoot the Kraid and Ridley statues after you've beaten it, and it forms the bridge that goes under those statues.
Yeah.
And there's a very similar moment in Super Metroid where you've beaten all the bosses and the little gems bust from that giant sort of amalgamation of all the sub-boss statues.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch. It's like their soul escapes.
Right. And that's a really nice sequence too. I just want to point out it's a really cool, like it's a longer sequence. It's sort of animated, where before you go to Turian, it's just a really nice moment in the game as well. But yeah, it's just something that for me, from the first game to this game, it really felt like I don't know. It kind of felt like I was home again, as I was playing. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember these guys. Oh, I hated these guys in the first game. Yeah, all right, here they are again. Thanks.
Yeah, just
You
what you
know,
wanted.
or the little bees that come out of the pipes where you can, like, shoot those and you can just exploit that to fill up your energy tanks.
Yeah,
I mean,
little farming.
that's something you did in the first game all the time, So great.
Yeah, I spent probably a good 10 minutes at the end of the game there just getting all my missiles back up to maximum before going to the final boss.
So, kind of from here, I guess I want to move on and talk a little about the music of the game and get both your thoughts on that. So,
I love the music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
good. I think it fits the atmosphere of the game perfectly.
I think if I had a favorite track, I'm going to have to go with the southern Brinstar depths, like the lower depths.
Yeah.
That one was really good.
You'll have to post that. You want to sing that for us? You want to hum that for us? No, I'm kidding.
No, it's it's the one with the it's actually kind of got a little bit of a almost whistling to it, and
got that,
really deep bass that's just kind of going through it the whole thing.
And the piano melody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
No, I like every song in the game. I think it fits every environment perfectly. When you first land on Criteria, it's kind of desolate and dark, and there's lightning striking, and then when you get into Brinstar, it's kind of like a jungle-ish theme.
Yes.
When you get to Norfair, it kind of sounds like it's really hot.
Right.
I think everything just fits really well.
Yeah. There's some of the music that's a little more. There's sort of different types of music in the game. There's some of the music that's more peppy and sort of encouraging, like to push on. More kind of adventurous type music, and then there's some music that's just very like dread and isolation kind of themed. If that makes sense.
I think those themes, the kind of darker ones, I actually enjoyed more. I found the peppy ones felt almost a bit cheesy, or like they just didn't quite fit as nicely, I thought.
Yeah.
But some of them, like the that theme. I think it's in Meridia. There's a nice one there that's pretty quiet, kind of like the Brinstar Depths one, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And again, another kind of tip of the cap back to the original game. Some of the music in Super Metroid is basically just kind of redone music from the first game, and just kind of just music from the first game on steroids, if you will.
Yeah, the item fanfare.
Yes.
Whenever you pick up a new item, when you're in a secret room.
Yeah, just a lot of good throwback.
Even Turian, when you're on the way to fight Mother Brain. It's the same music, it's just punched up a little bit.
Oh, right on. So we talked about the music, we talked about some of the areas in the game and how that relates to the music. Are there any areas that were particular favorites of yours or least favorites of anyone's?
I think I liked Norfair once I got the various suits, just because it felt awesome being able to finally go through there. It's like, this place was just a wall to me before. Now I can breeze through it, and it's pretty awesome. Good environment and everything, especially with Crocomire there, which we didn't actually mention. I think we should say something about him.
I love Crocomire.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest animated sequences in the game, too.
Yeah,
How
the
cool
melting
is
skin
that?
coming off of him, and the skeleton is still trying to attack you. But yeah, I'd say Norfair was probably one of my favorites. I don't know if I would say I had any least favorite areas.
I think I would say Norfair is my favorite, too.
Yeah,
How about
same
you,
here.
Aaron?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Once you get the speed boosts, or the speed jumper, there's big gaps you get to jump, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot of fun to wall jump and play around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the screw attack and just flying through enemies.
Yeah, it's the best.
So, listeners, you heard it here first. Norfair is the best area. There's
3 out of 3.
consensus.
And Meridia's the worst.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the worst. That is what I was going to add as my worst.
Actually, I think if I was going to say worst, I think for myself it'd have to be the wreck ship where Fantoon was located. Meridia was frustrating, but I'd say that was worse to me.
Really?
It was so difficult until you got the power back on. I mean, after beating Fantoon, but up to that point, I was having a lot of trouble getting through there and dying a lot.
That's fairly early on, though. I mean, in the wreck ship.
I think it was just too few energy tanks, I think, when I went in there. And so it kind of spoiled my experience there a bit.
So was the area more aggravating for you, or was it the boss that was more aggravating for you?
I think it was a combination of both, because I know that there was some rooms in there where I was having a lot of trouble, and it seemed like I was losing most of my health with them. and then the boss obviously was a big problem. But no, yeah, I'd say I had more trouble with that because I think when I got to Meridia, I just kind of felt a bit more prepared for it. But this one I wasn't quite ready because everything before that was relatively easy, and then you hit the wreck ship, and it's pretty big spike in difficulty, I felt.
You know, it's funny about the wreck ship when the power's off. There's a secret wall you have to bomb, and on the other side there's a room with spikes, and at the end of the room I think there's a missile pack.
Oh, okay.
But if the power's off, the spikes don't hurt you. But as soon as the power comes on, they hurt you.
Huh.
So spikes are only sharp when the power's on.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
It's
it's just
possible
kind of
I
a funny
saw that
little
room
thing.
maybe and just saw spikes and assumed it was going to hurt me and left. You never know.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the backtracking, and we can't get away from discussing this game and comparing it to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is notorious also for its backtracking element. I say notorious because people talk about that all the time. It's referred to as the Metroidvania, where I believe probably this game is Super Metroid is probably where that term really kind of started. In comparison
Yeah, these
to
two
Symphony.
are really similar. Even the map feels like it's the same map system almost between the two of them.
A little bit.
Right. And that whole idea that you have to have certain items to
Yeah, to
get
progress.
to. Yes.
Aaron, did you have something to add to it?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to mention something. Jerry Greenwood mentioned that in Symphony of the Night, a lot of the backtracking is just basically trying to get to a higher ledge. And after you
Yeah,
get
a little bit.
after you get the I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it, but the big jump where you can jump twice in a row and then getting the bat. Once you get those two, you can basically get around everywhere.
Right. Sort of the double jump and then the bat.
Yeah, and in Super Metroid, you kind of have to be you have to be a little more critical thinking to get around. You got to bomb a certain wall here and there to get back to where you were. So I think Super Metroid's a little more clever.
Right.
In that
Yeah,
regard.
I think I felt the same way because I was trying to think about how they compare earlier, and it seems like in Castlevania, the backtracking almost seems a little unnecessary. Like you can get somewhere, but you're just kind of forced to backtrack. Whereas in Super Metroid, it's like you are given this area where there's just nothing you can do, and you're like, okay, I'm totally stuck here, so I have to backtrack. And now I can find a new item and then come back to here later and do it a little better.
Yeah. Super Metroid seems to have a little more complex system, as you mentioned before, because you're going to run into a lot of those doors that are green for super bombs or, super missiles, or the orange ones for the super bombs. And so, you come across a lot more of those than you do, say, like, grates where, like only mist can pass and things of that nature. There's only like a handful of those in Symphony of the Night, whereas Metroid, you really have to kind of keep in mind where those things were. And I thought it was a lot tougher to kind of store that in my head as I was playing. And a lot of things that I went back and found were just sort of like, okay, I ran up on a door that had not been bombed yet, or hit with a missile. But I think that's one of the great things about Super Metroid. You don't have to bomb or missile those doors again. I mean, once you take them out, they turn blue, and you're able to know where you've been, right? I mean, it just makes it so much easier. And
I would have been really
waste
annoyed.
Items.
Yeah, I would have been really annoyed if I had to use missiles on those every single time, especially the red doors with 5 of the regular missiles.
Yeah.
It's funny about seeing those doors. When you first see those doors, you're like, oh, I can't wait to get a power bomb so I can come back and hit that later. But then when you do finally backtrack and go open that door, you open it up and it's like a missile recharge. You're like, what? That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disappointment.
Yeah, the missile recharges were pretty cool. I did at one point, just to mention this, I found all but one energy tank and one reserve tank, and I did go into my reserves. I think it was against Ridley. I ended up going into my reserves and went back to a room to recharge my energy in an energy charge room, and it does not fill your reserves.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
you actually, if you go back to the ship, your ship, it will fill your reserves.
As well as your missiles, too.
Yep. So that's one way to get it all back. But from what I recall in the game, that's the only place that you can do that and get those reserves filled again.
Yeah, and the missile recharges won't refill your super missiles either. That's kind of annoying.
Right. Exactly. So, well, I think we talked about speed running quite a bit, and what makes this game really great for that. If Aaron, if you had anything to add to previous conversation about that, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, there's a few things. I think it's just so dynamic.
Right.
There's a bunch of categories for it. There's finishing the game with 100%. There's any percent, low percent, ice. There's reverse boss order, where you fight Ridley first, and then Dragon, and then Phantoon, and then Kraid, which is crazy, trying to get through Lower Norfair with no gravity suit, constantly refilling your life. It's constantly draining. Yeah, it's madness.
Wow. Yeah, that's the whole different level speed running. Like, not even just sequence breaking or something. You actually have to be really good at what you're doing there for.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine trying to get through Meridia without the gravity suit.
Yeah, I don't even see how that's possible. It must be some secret jumping technique, I guess.
Yeah, some people have figured it out.
Yeah, I've heard the the bombs to reach different ledges, and I've heard of people even setting metronomes to be able to bomb jump.
I actually managed to figure out the bomb jump somehow on one room. There's this one place where I think it was required to get through this like maze of bomb pathways to get a power bomb upgrade, I think. And I somehow managed to do it. I think the only reason I was able to do it was because I had some experience from Metroid Prime where they really use that a lot more frequently as an actual technique for just basic gameplay.
Yeah, it's basically timing. Once you figure out the bomb jump, it's pretty easy to do.
But I did feel like it was more difficult in this than in Metroid Prime. Like, the timing was a little touchy.
Really? Yeah, I haven't played any of the Prime games, so.
I haven't either. I haven't played any of the first-person shooter Metroid games. I'm really not a fan of first-person shooters, and to me, Metroid's just something that, to me, is just it's a 2D game. It's always been a platformer. It's always been a 2D game. Not to say that I don't own, some of these Metroid titles, and I would like to play them at some time.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the first Metroid Prime because that one to me felt like they basically just remade Super Metroid in 3D, except for some of the bosses and the areas are different, but it's like music's carried over. I mean, the Norfair music is there, and a bunch of other ones, and so many of the items are back. It's just really good. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. I've got both the Primes. Maybe I should plug those in.
Yeah, it's definitely worth trying. If you can get past the kind of awkward GameCube, the first-person shooter controls, the rest of it's pretty good. Just the key to the controls is really locking on to everything. Once you get the hang of that, just like in the 3D Zeldas, if you lock on to everything, you'll be pretty good.
Yeah, and I've heard the two games on the Game Boy Advance are really, really good as well. So
yeah, I've heard that too, but I haven't had a chance to try those ones.
Yeah. I can't wait to get my Retron 5 for Christmas, because that way I can pop those games and in and play those on the big screen, which would be nice. I mean, I know there's the GameCube adapter, but I don't have one of those, but I'm really excited about the Retron 5, and maybe get to do a little recording of some of our playthroughs as well on that. So that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, at the rate the Retron 5 is going, it's going to be $250 by the time Christmas comes out. They keep jacking up the price on that thing.
Well,
really?
I've got Well, I've got some locally. I got mine for $150 locally. So,
That's not bad.
Yeah, the guy that owns the store near me has a few more. So if you're interested, we can talk after the call. But anyway, kind of some final thoughts and observations I had, and this will be a time for you guys to talk about some of your other thoughts or anything else you wanted to talk about with the game. One of the things was, as I was playing it, I was like, would you consider this game a horror title? Not only like a platformer, but a horror title. I know our perception of games is typically, when we think horror, we think Resident Evil and games of that nature. But just kind of curious, you guys' thoughts on that.
I can kind of see.
Go ahead.
Okay, I can kind of see where you're going with that, but that's more sci-fi than anything. I think it kind of makes you feel alone. It's solitude. You're by yourself. It's very desolate, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it horror. There's a few aspects maybe, but
Right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much my thoughts on it too. There's aspects of horror, but I don't think it's outright a horror game. Just certain things, like the Crocomire boss is pretty terrifying with his death, and like Fantoon, and some of the areas are kind of creepy, but I don't know, I think for the most part it's not really much of a horror game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that it's more of a sci-fi game than a horror game. I definitely think it does have certain elements in it, like Aaron mentioned with the whole isolation aspect of the game. The music to me is some of the music, not all of it, but some of the music is you could definitely use as a horror soundtrack if you listen to some of the tracks. I mean, they're pretty creepy. And that whole idea of being alone, and I guess sort of the game's relation to the Alien series, which again, as I mentioned to Jamie, I think it's something you should definitely watch, because I think it's definitely less of a horror film than it is a sci-fi film. And
we'll see.
Well, at least the first two movies, man, they are so good. I would say that the second film is Aliens is a lot more jumpy than the first, but I definitely think it's something you should definitely check out. The other thing I had is, and just to get you guys' opinions, is this the best game on the Super Nintendo?
I don't feel like I really have the experience to say one way or the other, because I haven't played a huge amount of Super Nintendo games. There's some heavy hitters that I have yet to try, like the two Final Fantasies and some other big ones on the system. So
very safe answer, James.
Yeah,
thanks.
I feel like I almost
now you won't get yelled at, but we might.
I feel like I kind of almost preferred Chrono Trigger a bit more than this, just because there were some more frustrating parts in this. But then Chrono Trigger, I felt like I was enjoying it the entire way through.
Right. Okay. How about you, Aaron?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's easily my favorite game on the system. The SNES, not the SNES, Bill.
Oh. Now we have guests calling you guys out. All right. I like it.
It absolutely is. I mean, I love this game. I can't stop playing it. I can't get enough of it. Excuse me. I'm always on Twitch watching people speedrun it. Once a week, there's a big Super Metroid race on Speedruns Live, and there's like 30 people playing the game at the same time.
Wow.
And I try to watch it when I'm not getting yelled at. But no, I love this game. It's easily top 2 or 3 favorites of all time.
Okay. Well, that was where my next question was going. Do you think this is one of the best games ever? And I think you've answered that, Aaron. I mean, if you care to elaborate, please feel free.
Well, it's just so polished. I mean, there's, at the time.
What do you put up there with it?
For the system or all time?
Well, just all time, I guess, or system, either one.
Well, I have weird personal preferences. Like, I like Zelda 2 a lot better than the first one.
Okay.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
Wait, I was like, Zelda 2, wait a minute. No. I'm thinking about Link to the Past. All right, no. All right. Yeah, you lost me.
Zelda
Go ahead, though. Continue.
But no, for me, it's just the perfect game. I don't like having my handheld when I'm playing games, so I don't like sitting through 45-minute tutorials. I just think the music fits the atmosphere. Again, the controls are perfect. I think the bosses are, they're balanced the way they should be. And, by the way, as far as the enemies go, I don't think the enemies were that hard. I think the environment was more difficult than the enemies themselves. Does that make sense to you?
With that. The final boss, I really noticed that, like the constricted space, and with the Mother Brain there and the test tube thing, just wandering around all the little platforms that you're supposed to get to. That's the bigger problem than the actual fight itself.
Yeah.
Yep, that's and that's a throwback to the original. I mean, the original is all about standing in the right place, moving about, and dodging the atmosphere more than it was, Mother Brain's not firing at you. Of course, Mother Brain in this game is a lot easier. I mean, takes a lot less bombs than the Mother Brain missiles. Than Mother Brain in the the original game. What are those things? The round things called? Aren't they called like Rinkas or something like that? Is that?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
correct?
I just call them Cheerios.
Okay, yeah, Flaming Cheerios.
Yeah.
And Metroids, and that's pretty much the only two bosses. In Torian in the original game. So.
But yeah, so other than that, I'm just nostalgic for it. Obviously,
yeah,
it's just
okay.
fun to play.
All right,
I like the art direction. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'm interrupting you. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love the art direction of the game. I just think it's perfect for me. I don't know. It's fun to play.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, actually, speaking of the art direction, I really like how each of the locations kind of transition into each other. Like, it feels smooth and not so jarring.
Yeah, seamless.
Yeah, it's pretty seamless.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I think was a vast improvement over the first game is the areas really tie in well together. You can move from area to area really well. And I know like with things like speedrunning, I mean that definitely like improved people's enjoyment of doing things of that nature. By being able to figure out these different patterns and kind of being able to go around in sort of a loop instead of doing a ton of backtracking. And so that's great. I think Aaron, you mentioned something about the art, and there's just some. This game's on the Super Nintendo, and there's just some really cool stuff going on in this game. I mean, especially, and we'll talk about the last fight as well with Mother Brain, the drooling, and then like sort of the acid breath, and
it's all the little
like,
details, the little touches.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But just to kind of get to the end of the game and talk about that a little bit, the Mother Brain battle is not an excessively difficult one. There's not a lot to dodge, but I feel like that battle was less about the difficulty of a final boss and more about tying the entire story together, if that makes sense.
That's what I felt too. It almost
absolutely.
felt borderline scripted. Like not obviously not entirely, but it just felt like you're supposed to nearly die, and then you're supposed to get revived, and then you get that super powered beam weapon, and it's pretty much game over at that point.
Yeah, it's really not that hard.
Yeah.
When they're speedrunning this game, they can beat it with 3 energy tanks.
Wow.
That's all it takes. So yeah, basically you use all your missiles, your super missiles. She beats you up a little bit, and then she hits you with that power attack, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That rainbow laser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and for me, I felt like the hardest thing with the game, especially the first time I went through and beat it, I did have a good save point, and I beat it again with my kids in the room. My kids love watching me play. I've mentioned this before, and maybe I'll get Jamie to throw up a few tracks, but I actually put the mic in the room and recorded them talking about it, which is pretty hilarious. I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and for them talking about Mother Brain and that final battle was cool. But one of the most, I guess, more frustrating parts the first time I went through the game was it's the difficulty in the battle is not beating Mother Brain, but just getting out after you beat her. I mean, the first Metroid, it's like, oh, okay, you beat Mother Brain. You just make a series of fairly safe and easy jumps. If you fall a few times, then it's not the end of the world to get out. But this was had an almost a maze aspect to it as well, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a maze to get through the game.
I mean, what did you guys think about the ending? Did you guys have issues like I did?
I don't know. It felt like it was kind of steering you a little bit. I mean, it was still a maze, and I was feeling like I was on the edge of dying at certain points, but I don't know. It wasn't too difficult, I found.
It was a little tougher. They threw in some enemies. There was steam that would randomly hurt you and knock you back. And then I don't know if I remember correctly. It doesn't tilt, does it? It only tilts in the beginning, right? At the series station. It doesn't tilt at the end. It just shakes around.
I think
right.
so.
And yeah.
And
then it comes full circle. It connects you right back to that same hall in the first Metroid game before you leave the station. So nice little touch.
Yeah, nice little touch. Area of familiarity, and yeah, like you said, from the first game, a nice little throwback to once again, going vertical, to reach that area. But you do have to make it back to your ship. And as some of you know, you can save some little animals on the way, which does not improve your completion percentage, I've heard. It's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah, it's just fun.
But I think maybe it was Jerry that mentioned that there's like a little, like at the end as your spaceship's flying out, there's like a little spark that shoots through the sky to let you know that the inhabitants have also escaped. I didn't notice that, but yeah, hey, anything that helps is great. So what do you have to get the, I guess, good ending, which is the bikini ending, I assume? What do you have to finish this game in under? Do you know?
It's just time, as far as I know. It's not item collection.
Yeah, that's what the manual said at the back. It was saying the faster you beat the game, the better your ending.
Yeah.
Do you know what the timing is? Is it like 3 hours or something of that nature?
It's probably less than that. I'm not sure. Like I said, I finished in 127. So that's we're 126, I guess. I ran through the game again and only got better by 1 minute.
Oh,
wow.
That did make me very happy.
I know. We all felt really sorry for you, too.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Yeah, well, thanks, guys. But, no, I'm not sure. Probably 2.5 hours, 2 hours, somewhere around there.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Yeah, and once again, just gives you the notion that, this is meant to be, on speed run. And from what I remember from the first game, I don't think it was a timing issue from the original Metro. I think it was like how many times you completed the game. I think you had to complete it twice to get to play without your armor on. I believe that was the issue. Or you could just type in the Justin Bailey code with the dashes underneath it.
The famous Justin Bailey code.
Yep. And we all remember that. So, but
I never quite understood how every time she died and her suit strips off and she's just like in her underwear there. It's like, what?
I don't know. Well, apparently
this is what happened when he dies.
She was supposed to be naked at first, but I think they censored that because I guess Western audiences wouldn't like it.
Yeah, probably not.
And I think also, just to mention, I think that was sort of another way to sort of. I think one of the confusing things for a lot of people in playing the first game was, and I remember this as a kid, they're like, "Oh, it's a girl." Like you never knew that until you either knew the Justin Bailey code or had played through the game several times and figured that out. AKA you had been insane enough to play the first game through 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But I think that's just another way for them to like reiterate in the gamer's mind that you are playing as a female protagonist, and just how really kind of cool that is. You didn't see that. You just did not play and still don't play as a lot of female characters in video games. And Metroid has really stuck with that, and I kind of tip my hat to them for really sticking with that, and still putting out a very successful franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. I just thought that the Super Metroid method of showing that was a little bit ham-fisted almost, and I sort of prefer the Metroid Prime method where. They do the final reveal at the end where she takes off her helmet and you can see it's a woman, but also throughout the game, in her visor on your screen, you can actually see the reflection of her face at certain times. Like if there's an explosion, it'll kind of reflect her eyes and you can tell it's a female.
Okay.
Or it's pretty obvious, to me anyways. It's just a little less crude than the way they do it in Super Metroid.
Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with this game? Anything that kind of stood out or you found sort of fascinating about this game?
Nothing myself. What about you, Aaron?
Oh, I don't know. There's something new I'm discovering every time I play it. I think that's what keeps me coming back. Just perfecting the wall jumps and everything else. Just can't get enough of it.
Awesome.
It's like a drug.
Yeah.
16-bit drug.
16-bit drug. Yeah, if you're watching that much Twitch, it must be. So.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, I just want to thank you. Thanks for playing the playthrough for us, with us again, and also thanks for all your comments on the forums. They've been, really helpful to a lot of us first timers, and helping us, who are kind of first time players, knowing the game a lot better. It's always good to play with people, and Jamie can attest to this. Play with people that have mastered a game or just really love playing the game. It brings a whole new vibe to the forums and to our playthrough, and we certainly do appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice to see experienced members sort of almost leading the newbies, helping them along on their path to finishing off these games.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking me to come on. I love RFGen, so.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, we all do. And again, thanks for coming on the podcast too. I'd love to have you back again sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. Just let me know.
All right, thanks. So we're at the end, the last save point, the end of Super Metroid right now.
So you're almost at the end?
Uh-huh. Almost at the end. I have to shoot these things out. See 'em?
Mm-hmm. The little circles?
Those little circles are hurting me.
It's losing all your energy.
I'm losing my energy, guys?
Yeah. It's only 12.
See that big brain?
Yeah. Ew. That is a disgusting brain.
What's happening?
The brain fell.
The brain fell? Uh-oh.
Ew. He did spit.
Spit?
Mm-hmm. He put spit on the ground. What is that? What's that big thing called? Is that a dragon, Daddy? His eye! Ew, he only has one eye.
Well, I think he's turned sideways.
Daddy, is that a dragon? No, he's not.
Oh no. What's he doing to me?
Losing all your energy.
Yeah.
It's only 41.
Oh no, I can't move.
See, that was spit.
Is he spitting on me?
No, he was spitting on the ground.
Whoa.
What the?
What is that?
The thing is bitten the dragon.
Yeah. That's a Metroid. It's a big Metroid, isn't it?
Yeah,
it
the
attacking?
big Metroid is biting him.
Biting him?
You only have 81.
What's this? Uh-oh.
He's losing all your power.
I think mine's going up, look.
Yeah, it is. I think he's protecting you.
He is. I think you're right.
I don't know why that dragon just... He's not stuck anymore. He's not stuck anymore, Daddy.
Yeah, I'm not stuck anymore, am I?
You only have 19 power. Oh! Now look at the dragon's head, Daddy. Uh-oh. Told you, now he's gone. The dragon... That guy beat the dragon. What's happening?
Gotta get out of here before it blows up, before the time runs out. Look at that.
So everywhere you go, the whole thing's gonna blow up?
I gotta get to my ship. I gotta get back to my ship before it all blows up.
You got a ship?
I flew here on. Remember?
No.
You don't remember the ship I flew in on?
No. This is bad.
Ooh. How much time do I have? See the time over on the right, Ava?
Yeah. It's going fast. Do you have to go? Or you'll die?
Yeah, I gotta make it out or I'll die, you're right. I'll try to save these animals too. There's these animals that I can save. Hope I can make it to them. They're right under here. I gotta hurry. I'm running out of time.
Let's go. Will the animals die?
No, they're gonna get out. That's why I saved them.
They're gonna get out because you saved them, Daddy.
See my ship? There it is.
Oh, right. Did you win? It blew up already. Did it blow up?
Yeah, the planet did.
Holy.
So what happened, guys? Huh?
Well, when you defeated the monster, it was really big. So, like, his brain turned red and he's really mad. So, you had to hurry up because it was his brain was going to explode.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think happened, Towns?
He put spit on the ground.
He put spit on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did that do?
Because he did.
Because he did.
Yeah, because he likes to. He scratches too.
He does. He scratches too. Was he scratching me?
Yeah, he was making you stuck too.
Making me stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you guys think about this game? Did you like this game or not?
Yes.
Did you like
Can
it?
you do it again?
Can I do it again?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Ava, what did you like about the game?
We want to fight because you get different suits and they're good colors. I like little dragons. And you help the animals and you're defeating the bad monster.
Okay. You like the suits, the different color suits? What color was your favorite?
Probably purple and red because it can do some more stuff that is exciting because you get to go under the lava.
You get to go under the lava with the purple suit.
Yeah, you get to like go everywhere with the purple suit.
Okay.
Except for those big circle things.
The big circle things. Okay.
So I kind of like the purple suit.
You like the purple suit the best?
Look.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah,
there.
purple suits are kind of big.
Oh, there's the purple suit again. Towns, what did you like about the game?
What? That's a girl? I can still see her hair.
Yeah.
It looks like a boy kind of though.
Uh-huh. It's a girl.
But her hair's kind of tucked
Do you
in.
like that it's a girl? Mm-hmm. Why you like that?
Because, let's see, because I'm a girl?
Because you're a girl?
81!
Yeah, that's percent. That's how much of the game I completed. 81%.
I think, but now Towns is in a purple suit.
You're in a purple suit right now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Towns, what did you like about the game?
Fight.
The fight? You like the
Yeah.
fighting? Do you like that I was playing as a girl? Do you like playing as the girl?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I do.
Because you do?
Hmm.
Okay.
That's like not even the answer.
Why do you guys like watching Daddy play video games?
Because you're really, really good at it and we're proud of you.
Oh, you're proud of me? Okay.
Fight the little dragon again.
Fight the little dragon again?
Yeah, because remember that tall, big monster and it shooted out.
Oh, shot the stuff out of his belly?
Yeah, that was really big.
Oh, you like that
So
one?
he said, that's why he said small.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Kraid. His name's Kraid. Yeah.
The little one is?
No, that's the big one with the stuff that shoots out of his belly.
Yeah. What are the little ones?
I'm not sure. I don't know which one you're talking about.
The little one that you just fighted and his brain was
Oh, that's Mother Brain.
mother brain. Mother.
Is that funny to you that it's called Mother Brain?
Yeah, because it might be a mother or it might be a dad. If it was a dad, that would be cuckoo crazy.
Okay, so for our November modern playthrough game, I chose System Shock 2 for the PC, which is a game that I was really excited to play, to be honest, and I thought I'm going to love this game because I love Ken Levine's designs, and I love Irrational Games, and I loved all the BioShock games. So I chose System Shock 2, and before I get into a deeper discussion of the game, I'd like to introduce first my co-host, Fleach. Say hello, Fleach.
Hey, everybody.
And also, we have a special guest for this segment. RFGeneration's own bombatomba is with us today.
Bombatomba. How you doing today, guys?
Very good. How are you?
We're good. It's very nice to have you, man. So, System Shock 2 was released on the PC in 1999. It's a sequel to System Shock 1, but System Shock 1 was not developed by Irrational. It was... actually, I don't know who the first game was developed by, but Irrational picked up the sequel is the point. It's a kind of a survival horror RPG. Looks like a first-person shooter, but it's more survival horror resource management, where you're on a abandoned space station, and you are in the beginning of the game communicating via radio to a woman named Polito, who's going to guide you around, and the story unfolds from there. So I actually want to kind of step back and ask you guys, because I have never played PC. I've never been a PC gamer, and I kind of one of the reasons I chose this game was to kind of step out of my comfort zone. What is your background? I guess we'll start with Bombatomba. As far as PC gaming, have you always been playing on PC, or are you primarily console, or both? What's your style?
Well, I guess I'm a PC gamer now, but I didn't really get into PC gaming at all until maybe 99, 2000, and just really been trying to catch up ever since, play everything I can get a hold of, trying to make myself like a bucket list of stuff that I should play, but it's too many games.
And now, is this your first time playing System Shock 2, or had you played it before?
This is my first time. I've got it through. I actually think I've had it for a while now, but never even booted it up.
Well, that's the thing with PC gaming, is you'll have so much stuff in your library, and it's kind of a matter of when will you get to these games.
Floyd, I'm a little bit more familiar with your play style. I know you're more into the PC games, but have you been that way for a while, or were you into PC gaming during this era?
No, to be honest, really, I'd been doing console gaming pretty much my whole gaming career, right? All the way from SNES to the recent stuff, and I really only got into the PC scene when just a couple of years ago. And it was mostly through the indies, and then kind of you dip your toe in the water and you kind of go down that rabbit hole, so to speak. And it's with so many games available to you, the possibilities are endless.
I can see that, and that's kind of where the rub is for me. And I really was looking at this game as what could potentially be a gateway for me to kind of become a more well-rounded gamer with PC games in the mix. But I have a Ken Levine style plot twist for everybody. And that is that I did not play the game past the first checkpoint. I actually started playing the game in October to set up for hosting this playthrough, and I played to what I established as the first checkpoint, which was to make it to deck 4, which took me about 4.5 hours. And I found it to be just excruciatingly unfun. And I see, this is a case where I don't want to just crap on the game and say it was bad, because I know that it's a good game. It's just, it wasn't for me at all. And we can definitely talk about that. Now, I did watch most of a walkthrough, and I know all the, most of the plot and everything. And, Bombatomba, you're here. You actually did complete the game, and you're going to help us out filling in the gaps here. But Yeah, I kind of abandoned it. I wasn't enjoying it at all. It's and we'll get into the reasons why, but I just wanted to clear the air and get that out of the way. I'm sure anybody who was following the thread on the forum kind of noticed that I wasn't really posting, and it was kind of on autopilot between Bombatomba and Disposed Hero, just kind of tearing through the game. So appreciate you guys doing that. So
Disposed is such a beast at these games. Like, I don't know how he's able to keep up with everything that we're playing, and I've noticed he's playing some things on the side too. He's a machine when it comes to gaming. Yeah, I've got to put my cards out on the table too and admit that I didn't finish the game either. Got roughly to the same point that Sean did, and when you said this game is tough as nails, holy cow, man, you weren't kidding. Like, this game is hard, and it's gonna kick your butt. So yeah, I also had to resort to a video walkthrough.
Yeah, so Bombatomba, I want to give you the floor a little bit here. Like, as you were playing the game, like, how did, like, I'm trying to think of how when I went through the game and was just like frustrated constantly about like, what am I supposed to do next? Where, oh my God, I'm so lost. Like, what do I do now? And then, like, it wasn't even like the combat was so bad. You know what I mean? I could usually, like, I've been playing first person shooters all my life, so I could kind of get through with the combat, but the resource management and the task management of knowing where to go, what to do next, and then knowing all the systems, the complex systems, the alchemy, crafting or alchemy or whatever you want to call it. I forget what the exact terminology was. Like, how did you reconcile all that stuff going on at once?
Yeah, it's a Ken Levine game, so you got to deal with a lot. Like, you're juggling a lot, aren't you?
Absolutely. This entire game was a path of discovery for me. I feel like I deferred back to the original Half-Life when I played that, which was one of my first PC games, and a game that you got to kind of slog through. You run forward, stop, and then start looking everywhere in the room because you can't get any farther. The difference between that and System Shock 2 is System Shock 2, you're not just looking in a room, you're stopping and then going back and looking everywhere. Underneath grates, everywhere that you possibly could think. This game is just brutal.
Yeah, and the word I would use, and I'm probably going to say it a million times in this segment, is dense. And this game is so dense with
but it's true.
Stuff and systems and upgrades and inventory, shenanigans. It's for me, it just became too much, and I have heard this game. It's interesting you bring up Half-Life. The other game that most people liken this to is the original Deus Ex, which was supposedly very similar in that even though it's a first-person shooter, this isn't Doom, and it's not Call of Duty. This isn't about the shooting. That's just the means to an end for the plot and for the themes. And of course, playing an irrational game, there's a deep story going on here, and what we have is the space station and Shodan versus Xerxes and everything. So I wonder, I can't go too far into the story. Maybe Bomba, if you want to, if you can help with the story. And remember, this is essentially a spoiler cast, so don't worry about spoilers. There's a big twist, right? Like, kind of in the first third of the game, you get a really cool plot twist, and it just goes from there. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a quick rundown of the story, that would be cool.
Well, basically, it's about this ship going off into space. It starts off, actually, the start off of the beginning, I guess. It starts out with like a flashback to the original System Shock. You get Shodan taunting the hacker, basically, and then it moves to this the launch of this new ship that can go faster than light, the Von Braun. And I got some Event Horizon flashbacks watching that entire sequence. By the way.
I thought about that too. That's funny that you should compare it to that.
Okay, I've actually never seen that movie, but I've heard great things about it.
It's like this game. It starts off really good, and then it goes a little bit more towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it's got a really solid premise and a solid start, but I mean, are you guys with me that it kind of loses its focus after 3-4 hours in?
Well, I want to know, like, after. So I was intrigued at the beginning of the game. You're on the von Braun. It's clear that something's wrong. You have Polito kind of telling you where to go, and there's really good contextual clues as to what's going on. Like, Polito will be giving you these hints and everything, and then she'll take these little digs at you that are almost like, hurry up, what do you think, this is a game? And she starts getting nasty with you. And so when you finally meet Shodan and you realize that Shodan is Polito,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, there's your spoiler. That's the big twist. So when that finally happens, like, that was all really intriguing to me, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, like, that's the thing, right? And then it did just kind of like the find this key card and go to this place and that, like, just I got buried in that. And that's why I think like a BioShock is so much more balanced, maybe. And like I said, like, System Shock 2 is not a bad game. It's just not for me. Like, I think BioShock was more balanced towards between gameplay and like the story, rather than just being this like extremely dense game with like a cool story kind of hovering above it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Because the way I see, because I played BioShock first, and I kind of get this vibe that BioShock is what System Shock 2 was trying to do, and then Burial at Sea did what the first BioShock tried to do. I guess because I'm playing with these more modern games in mind, it may have colored my opinion a little bit, but it's just like a laundry list of things you have to do.
Yeah. Now, Bomba, have you played the BioShock games?
I played the original BioShock game, but I'm going to tell you the truth. It has been so long, and I have heard so many things on different podcasts. I can barely remember anything outside of the opening area, which is you being introduced to you falling into the ocean.
Yeah,
that was just wonderful. That whole intro sequence is just mind-boggling.
Yeah,
unforgettable.
I'm going to remember that for a long time. Yeah, one of the greatest moments in gaming, definitely.
So I can say for sure, even though, again, didn't finish the game, that playing System Shock 2, I feel like I definitely got my history lesson, because I have played all the other BioShock games, and you can see, for better or for worse, the progression from this like hardcore PC late 90s, gaming experience from that particular time period to what we have now, which is a very modern, even Infinite, which did have a really
Call of Duty with time travel.
Well, I was, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a modern first-person shooter, for better or for worse, with with an Irrational Games story over it. So I appreciate the history lesson I got by at least attempting to play this game.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, because if you're looking back at it, like Sean and I have, you can see the evolution of Ken Levine's style and like Irrational Games style. And yeah, it's sort of like as story improved, gameplay kind of got simplified and watered down.
Right. And that happens to a lot of franchises.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It kind of, it happens, right?
Yeah, well, some would say it was bad, but I kind of take like it is what it is kind of approach.
Of course. I loved BioShock, and Infinite was awesome too. So, it's, if there's only one thing that I can take away from this experience, is that I'm happy to have experienced the roots of what is essentially the Shock series.
Right. Now, Bomba, do you have any plans? Like, did you have any plans before this or since playing System Shock 2 to go revisit BioShock or maybe try BioShock Infinite?
Well, I'm pretty sure I want to revisit Rapture, and I want to do it on the PC this time. First time, I believe it was on Xbox, and I really maybe catch BioShock and on the maybe like a Steam sale or something.
Yeah. Cool.
Now, would there be differences?
I don't believe there's content different, but the graphics are going to be much better on the PC. You know, BioShock 1 has always been like one of my all-time favorite games, and I think if you liked System Shock 2 and you put in the work to finish it and slog through it, then you'll probably really like BioShock, because it kind of eases up on a lot of the things that make System Shock 2 kind of overbearing. So I would highly recommend that you check that out.
Well, you guys are probably the best people I can ask this question to. Like, until the end, I kind of figured it out, but Xerxes and Shodan, like what who are they? Like, I know they're both AIs that essentially, control and monitor the ship, but like, who are they? What's the difference between them?
Well, I think that I kind of thought them up both as kind of like HAL 9000.
Okay,
they're there to handle things that the humans can't.
Right.
But let's see. I believe Shodan was just created by the hacker in the first, just in the very first System Shock. Just that the fact that Xerxes is there makes me think that they're put on these ships for a reason, and they just screwed up. But wasn't
they being the people?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I think Xerxes was supposed to be the official, like the security system, right?
Yeah. And I just have to say that I'm looking at my notes, and some of my notes are a little amusing because they're very short thoughts, and one of them is the Xerxes rooms give me the creeps.
They are. Yeah. They are a little unsettling.
You just reminded me that I actually had taken a bunch of notes, so now let me. I'm just grabbing my notes.
Is it you're talking about the HAL 9000 thing, and I picked up on that vibe too. Especially with Shodan, and when Shodan is revealed to be the antagonist in this whole thing, you kind of get that vibe of when HAL 9000 goes rogue. And so right when I thought that, immediately I'm thinking of Philip K. Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and then I'm thinking, do pixelated androids dream of a pixelated sheep? But yeah, I think thematically it's doing the same thing, wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah, definitely. And now, I would pull it forward to GLaDOS from Portal. You can tell that the creators of that game had a lot of, were probably influenced by Shodan, because I got the exact same vibes, that I got from that game too. Mm-hmm. So that was a definitely familiar vibe.
Yeah, I also got the vibe of the Alien movies. Just you're running through the corridors, and you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah, that's definitely as far as being on like a desolate, isolated kind of not a lot of people around environment. Mm-hmm. Just kind of creeping around, being kind of scared of what could be around the next corner. That's definitely a good point.
Yeah, I think when I was playing, what little I played was 3 hours or so, but it was sort of like when there were no enemies, it was kind of unsettling, because you're wondering if something's going to jump out and suddenly rush you and attack you.
And inevitably it does.
Yeah, later on that really does happen, because you get those like spider type enemies and all that.
So I guess eventually you help you're kind of forced to help Shodan take down Xerxes. Bomba, help me out here if I'm mistaken, but at a certain point you then have to take down Shodan. Is that it, or am I oversimplifying it? Or
no, after Shodan reveals herself, she kind of recruits you to destroy Xerxes and the many, and they send you out. She sends you out, and you get some more directed insults. Her constantly calling you insect and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the base of it.
So now I understand the end of the game has some particularly head-scratching moments and gameplay sequences.
The end of the game is such a crawl.
Please.
Well,
Please
I think before we go to the end of the game, I think it's probably worth discussing, because there's so much going on your spaceship, right? There's the experiments going on with the monkeys. There's something about Tau Ceti 5, right? And isn't it that Shodan sent out a distress signal from Tau Ceti 5, and that's what the Von Braun is supposed to be investigating? This is all stuff from the audio logs, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
No? Okay.
Looking through my notes, to tell you the truth, my notes get sillier towards the end as I get towards the end of the game. At one point I wrote, "What is going on? Xerxes, the many, Shodan?" So confused.
Yeah. Oh, that's... I was confused the whole time, right? That's why I've got all these questions. But I think just, quickly skimming through a Wikipedia page is that, because they brought in so many things. Like they're researching the monkeys, and eventually the monkeys gained telepathic powers, and
yes, that is right.
And then something about Tau Ceti, and where does Shodan come into all of this, and I think this game tries to do a lot and kind of only accomplishes a little.
Well, I don't know if I would agree with that. I think it's, again, more of a product of its time, and that, while I'm going to speak for myself, I think simply that I could not handle it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say oh, this game is just trying too hard or doing too much. What I'm willing to look at it and say, I can't handle all this, if you stopped and listened to the audio logs and pieced together the story, I'm sure it would make more sense. And of course, actually playing the game would help. I'm not trying to be funny, but trying to piece together a story from watching YouTube videos and listening to a few audio logs, reading a Wikipedia page, I don't think it's going to give you the full sense of what was going on. And
of course,
and this game is pretty well loved and heralded as an all-time classic of PC gaming. So I really am hesitant to just criticize it for being too busy in a way that is a detriment to the game itself. For me, it's too busy for my personal tastes, but that's the whole
right. I'm just saying that in its in the fact that it's so busy and stuff, it doesn't flesh out, or at least I wasn't able to flesh out everything that it was presenting to me.
Right. Because it comes fast and furious. There are audio logs everywhere, and you're sometimes listening to these audio logs while you're in heavy, frantic combat, and it's hard to absorb all the information. So in that respect, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I think the way I initially phrased that was, it sounded like I was taking a jab at the game, but the game is throwing a lot of information at you and a lot of story at you, and it demands a lot from the player to keep up with what's going on. Both in backstory and main plot and subtext and everything.
Right. So all right. So Bomba, what happens from both a gameplay standpoint and a plot standpoint at the end of the game? Because I've heard some things.
Well, a little bit more towards the end of the game, Shodan has you doing some crazy stuff. In fact, one of them, I would say, stalled me for, I hate to say it, but I want to say it was about 4.5 hours.
Wow.
There's an egg hunting trip. Yes, 15 eggs, and I was crying at the end almost. I feel like, and then you, once you clear the eggs away, you end up going into the many.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember what the walkthroughs called it, but it was you actually go into this disgusting snake thing that has. Okay, so towards the end, the Rickenbacker is stationed on top of the von Braun, and you want to separate them so you can leave, but the many is actually grown around the ship like a snake, holding them together.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't get that, but I mean, now that thinking back to the game and now knowing this, I see that. Okay.
And it's pretty gross that you end up launching a pod directly into the body of the many, and from there you end up doing a lot of weird things. And this is my main problem here is you have to destroy these nerve clusters in order to open sphincters so that you can get through. But I just ended up shooting at everything because it got to the point where I was like, is that a nerve cluster? Is that one? So I just shoot at everything, and I was already low on ammo constantly from this game, and you finally end up destroying this, and then you have to deal with Shodan again. So you go back to the Rickenbacker, and from there you have to you go through this kind of Tron sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange.
It was really weird, and that when you're in that Tron type sequence, that's when you're in Shodan's like quote unquote mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, like that's when Delacroix is giving you instructions, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Delacroix must have been within Shodan at one point. Should probably clarify who Delacroix is, right?
Goodness. Yeah, somebody.
I'm trying to. Is Delacroix the French scientist?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't quite figure out where she fit into everything. I mean, she seemed to know a lot about Shodan.
She, if I remember correctly, she actually was almost a predecessor to you. She dealt with Shodan without knowing that it was Shodan. I believe throughout the story, some of the audio logs you pick up, you're listening to her
I want to say you're
speak,
right.
and and she's talking about Shodan in an indirect way, not knowing exactly who it is. And I actually don't remember if this is the point where you don't know really what's going on either.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Until you visit Polito's room, and then you turn around to leave and you can't get out.
Yeah, that's when.
And that's the big reveal.
That's the big reveal that you've been working for Shodan all along. But anyway, back to the Tron area.
Yeah. So you're in Shodan's mind or whatever. Then what? What happened? Is that the final confrontation or?
That is the final confrontation in the game. After you get to destroy Shodan, but Shodan begs for her life before doing it. Before you do it, and then once you do it, it kind of looks like the game ends. But there's a little sequence that you watch.
There's like a mini twist right at the end.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. No, I really like that scene where Shodan is begging for her life, because she's doing it very eloquently and very like manipulatively. So it doesn't sound like she's begging. It's more like essentially what she's saying is like, join me and we will be the most powerful thing in the universe. But it's the way she says all of that. That was I thought that was written really well.
Oh, it was excellent. Yeah, that part was really a lot of the writing in this game is very good, and it's a wonderful kind of a wonderful intro to get you into BioShock. But if it wasn't for some of the gameplay choices, I think it just would have been more fun overall.
Right.
Well, I think that mini twist right at the very end.
Yeah. Can you explain that, Floyd? Because I don't think I caught that, to be honest with you. What happens?
Somebody picks up your distress signal, I think.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to the Von Braun, and that ship's pilot says that his wife or his partner Rebecca has been feeling ill lately. And then isn't it essentially that Shodan has taken control of that Rebecca lady?
Yeah, her voice sounds a little bit like, and she does this ridiculous thing with her hair. It's almost as if they didn't quite trust the intelligence of the gamer to realize what was happening, so they would do something weird with her hair to make it look
made
like
her hair
the
all
Shodan
like
pictures.
Poofy.
Yes, that was very strange. I did like it, but it was very strange.
It was like, see, it's a plot twist. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah.
So there's one thing I want to ask, just to wrap up talking about the end of the game. I've heard, and this is a question for Bomba. There's a sequence near the end where you're led to believe that you have to kill a whole bunch of stuff, but the actual right thing to do is to
not kill
run
the
away
stuff?
Or retreat or something. Does that ring a bell, or was that a major point, or just something that I heard somebody nitpick on YouTube and I remembered it?
I spent a lot of time running towards the end of this game. I was extremely ill-prepared. I actually watched an entire walkthrough by this gentleman, Metal Canyon, on YouTube, and he was playing it again for the first time in years, having a blast. He had all his weapons upgraded, and he was using all the cool stuff, and I was still using a shotgun, a pistol, a laser, and the crystal shard at the end, and constantly running out of juice.
Wow.
So I ran through most of the end of the game.
Now, what was the power of that crystal shard? I mean,
that was wonderful. That thing was great to use.
Okay, well, why don't we, since we've discussed the story pretty well and the plot twists and everything else, why don't we get into the actual gameplay? There's a lot of stuff to cover here. So it is, at its core gameplay is that it's a first-person shooter, and I'm putting air quotes on shooter because, you do shoot, but it's more just that it's in...
That's not the entire emphasis.
Right. You're in the first-person perspective, but it's a lot about exploration and environmental manipulation and environmental puzzles and melee combat, even, because you can lean on that wrench a lot. But there is, of course, shooting, shotguns and pistols and the like. I kind of don't know where to begin here, because we could start with how is it as a first-person shooter, which, again, this is the first time I've ever played a first-person shooter with a mouse and keyboard, so I don't have a lot of background here, but I found it to be pretty responsive. Like, I took to it well, I would like to say. Now, Floyd, I think you posted on the forum that you were having a little bit of trouble with it. Was that the new control scheme in general, or was it just a sensitivity? Or why don't you explain that? What was your...
My main gripe was, like, first-person shooters are... I'm out of my element when I'm playing that kind of game. So I can easily, like, literally and figuratively back myself into a corner and just have a difficult time getting myself out of it.
Do you mean just from a control standpoint, or just from being, like, disoriented? Because I remember there was a time... And not to derail too much here, but I remember there was a time where you didn't even play first-person shooters.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you had a motion sickness
I was,
kind
like,
of issue.
When 3D first came out, a lot of people said, "Oh, this gives me motion sickness," and I kind of had that too, and especially with first-person games. So that's why I kind of steered away from them for a while. But no, I've pretty much gotten over that. But it's more like I don't really know how to put it. Like, okay, especially with a Ken Levine type game where there's so much emphasis on environment, and that, you know, in the world of System Shock and BioShock, there's security cameras everywhere, and if you set off one of these alarms, you're going to be swarmed with enemies. And if you don't know that there's an alarm there, it's game over. And that was my main thing. Like, I'd walk into a room without, I guess, fully, taking inventory of what's there, and just, screw myself that way. But
so you're saying your kind of spatial awareness could use some improvement.
Probably. I mean,
is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, it's just like, walking into a room. Oh, there's an alarm. Oh, there's 5 hybrids rushing me now. But like, from a control standpoint, like, holy cow, it's so much easier to play a first-person shooter with a keyboard and mouse than with a controller.
Yeah, that's what the purists, the PC master race, that's what they all say.
I think just simply using like Windows inadvertently trains you to play a shooter on the computer.
Sure, because you're kind of just pointing and clicking and dragging and doing all the things you do
exactly
at work all day. Just now you're shooting.
Now you're doing it in the context of a game, right?
Right. So yeah, I don't know, Bomba, do you have anything to add about the controls, or, pretty standard stuff? I mean, if you've been playing with a mouse and keyboard, I don't know if you have anything to comment on that.
Not really with the controls, the movement controls. I did enjoy the little sub-menu thing, because I actually did play one of the Ultima Underworld games, where all movement is done with the mouse, where you can move your mouse pointer within the window, and then your actual movement is done by pushing the mouse towards the edge of the screen. So it's almost like this is a halfway point between Elder Scrolls 1 and 2 and the Ultima Underworld games, and then Half-Life and Deus Ex.
And now what you're referring to is that you have menus and kind of a sub-menu that you can pull up when you need it, but that you're using your mouse in game, like in the environment, to move your reticle or your person, your view, but also you're using the menus in real time and dragging weapons around and moving your inventory, or looking through audio logs or journal entries to find a key code or something. So it's all happening again just on the screen with the mouse pointer, kind of hopping in between the menus and moving your character and moving your vision, so to speak. So I just had a few notes on the gameplay, because again, there's so many things. I guess we should explain like the psi powers and the upgrades, which if you play BioShock, this is kind of what the plasmids are. They're powers that kind of add to the reality of this being a first-person shooter, because again, this isn't just Doom where you get a pistol and then a shotgun and a machine gun. You also have these powers called psis, or psi. What was the name? Help me out, guys.
I think I know what you're talking about. No, not nanites.
No, not nanites.
No, nanites was kind of like the currency that upgrades everything, right?
Cybernetic modules?
Yeah, the psi modules, or whatever they are. Those are your basically the same thing as plasmids from BioShock. And they can do things like attack and freeze enemies and hack cameras and all the same kind of things. But it's a very deep, complicated system, and it's kind of a thing where it looks like if you spread yourself thin enough, you really could kind of paint yourself into a corner, and it would pay to kind of research these things. And now, again, Bomba, I'm going to defer to you as somebody who completed the game. How did you go about choosing which powers you were going to upgrade, which ones you were even going to go for? And did you have any that you regretted? Did you go into any and upgrade them and weren't happy with them? Like, how did you play through that whole system?
Well, I actually used, picked Hacker. And, at the very beginning, you get to join the Marines, you get to join the, is it the OSA?
The OSA they were the Psi people, right?
Yeah, they were the psychic. And I watched a little bit of a playthrough that, but I went total cybernetics. I went Hacker. And, what's kind of annoying is that throughout the game, you will pick up little programs that will automatically upgrade different parts of your hardware, or your software. You'll pick something up and you'll look in the corner and it'll say hacking software upgraded to level 2, and research upgraded to level 2. And it's so you can research certain items. And it's because of that, I felt that some of the things felt a little redundant. I wish I would have put more into heavy weapons and such, so I could have used the grenade launcher, especially towards the end with the big guys. I ended up running through a lot of that, and the guy I watched, Metal Canyon, well, he was just shooting grenades at these guys left and right. He was very prepared.
You could definitely see different, the level of customization is so high that you could see this being a completely different game from one playthrough to another, and from one person to another. So that's totally understandable.
How did you feel about your expenditures of resources and how you distributed your skill points? The whole time you're talking about that, I'm thinking about the review by Zero Punctuation, and it's how you can
System Shock.
System Shock 2.
I actually didn't watch that.
Oh well, now that you've finished the game, you can go check that out. And I can kind of see the point that he makes is you can play the whole game spending all your resources in the wrong places.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, I think I wrote in the opening post of the thread to please look at a guide, and because you were alluding to, Bomba, the first 45 minutes to hour of a game is setting up your character, and you're doing tutorials, actually pretty paper thin tutorials on how to shoot and use the powers. But then you have to choose your first your branch of the military, and then the types of training that you're going to do. And I got to admit, I kind of winged it, and I don't know, maybe I would have, if I'd have put more thought into it, if that would have helped me. But it's definitely something that you have to kind of do a little homework on and
absolutely
do a little research.
Wish I would have read the instruction booklet on this one, guys. I got to tell you.
Right. Right, exactly. So I guess the only other thing that I wanted to note as far as gameplay wise was some of the, I felt like actually this is a really specific thing. I felt like the hacking mini game was a little half-baked and totally random, and maybe I was missing something on it, but I felt like you're just clicking at random trying to connect the 3 dots. And it either works or it doesn't. There's no skill component.
That's what I thought. It was click and hope for the best, right?
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
No, it was annoying, and in fact, that whole system is used for almost everything: hacking, repairing. It actually gets a little annoying. One of the things that's supposed to change is one of your base attributes is called cybernetics, and if you upgrade your hacking and your cybernetics, it's supposed to be easier to hack into things. You get less of those I can't remember what they're called, nodes. You get less nodes.
Yep.
I found that to be false. I walked up to I remember trying to hack into one thing, and it said 20%, and I kept having to hit restart so that I could get, because there were just too many nodes, I couldn't connect anything. I'd get one chance, and then that would be it.
Yep. Well, thankfully, that's one of the things that in my opinion, got improved in the BioShock games. I know a lot of people didn't like that Pipe Dreams-esque water flow mini game that was the hacking mechanic in BioShock.
Oh, I didn't mind it at all.
Think that's I liked it as well. I think that was
it's a huge improvement over, connect the dots that you won't work, all the time. What was the hacking in Infinite? I don't remember.
There really wasn't any, because you had Elizabeth opening all the doors for you.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have any other major points to go over, except maybe we could talk about the graphics and sound. The game's running on the Thief engine. The graphics for 1999 they look good to me. I know there was planning to be a Dreamcast port of this game. I think it might have been cool. It would have been severely watered down, I would imagine.
It would probably be a really cool collector's thing, but
yeah, it would be neat if it ever came out.
Yeah.
But it'd be one of those kind of bad ports of a really dense and complicated PC game.
I don't think you can port such a thing to a console. It's a very busy control scheme, right?
Right. It would probably just be more shooter. Well, we'll never know because it didn't happen. But also the music is kind of a product of its time. You got that kind of techno metal, like
you're laughing, Bomba. What do you think about the music?
I let it run for 5 minutes, turned it off.
Nope,
I don't know if either of you guys noticed, but there's a huge sound element to this game. You can hear everything in this game.
Yeah.
You can hear, if you listen quietly, you can hear not just the hybrids, but you can hear turrets, you can hear cameras. So if you quietly walk down corridors and you got your cans on, your ears nice and tight, you can hear cameras buzzing from around the corner.
Oh, see, maybe that was my mistake, because I didn't use headphones.
Oh yeah, you got to play with this game with headphones. Yeah, I'm totally with you, Bomba. I had forgotten how good the sound design is in this game, and it's definitely one, because the game's so scary. We haven't even mentioned yet, and I guess we can talk about the atmosphere in general here, is that the sound design is so good that it really immerses you in the experience. And it's one of those games that you play with the lights out, with your headphones on. Like I said, the graphics are serviceable for being a product of their time. Of course. The sound design is great. And, the music is weird techno metal 9 Inch Nails ripoff. So I could see why you would turn it off. I didn't even think to do that. I just kind of had it on, and there are kind of issues with the musical cues, with the intense music playing when it kind of shouldn't be, or after you already took care of all the enemies in that area, it keeps going, kind of thing. So there's some issues with that, but yeah. To go back to your point, the sound design, the little things you can hear, the
spot on, right?
Footsteps, yeah, everything is really lush in that respect.
It was unsettling at times too. Especially in when you're in the body of the many, it's just that squishy floor sound.
Yeah, definitely. And there were a lot of comments made on the thread about the things that the
hybrids say.
The hybrids say, just they were kind of random quotes.
Mm-hmm. It's as if there's still some sort of shred of consciousness still within them.
Right. Some of those are really creepy, and I think somebody took the time to actually write some of them.
I think so. Somebody did.
It was Disposed Hero.
I'm not surprised.
No, but they do. They say things like "join us," but then they also say "I'm sorry."
Yeah, run.
It's so creepy.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of it, man. I don't know if you guys want to touch on anything else, but having kind of I hate to admit that I half-assed it because it's kind of not so simple to say that I half-assed hosting this game. It goes deeper than that. But I feel like I've contributed everything I can. Do you guys have any other like major points you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about the evolution of the entire Shock series? I mean, like we're talking about basically the game that set off whole spark of games that followed it, and it rocketed Ken Levine into superstardom.
Sure, I mean that's a good point. Again, I loved BioShock 1 so much, and I'm one of those people who also like BioShock 2. Now, I know that wasn't an irrational game. That was just farmed out to, 2K made that internally. But I also liked that game because it was just kind of more BioShock.
Well, it let you, essentially get more backstory of Rapture, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And, they did a good job as far as it being playable and, it didn't have as good of a story, but it was fine. And I'm one of those people who, like, with Infinite, I liked it, but I see the flaws that people see in it. Like, it's a very polarizing game critically. It's like one of those things where it wants to be a thinking man shooter, but some people won't acknowledge it that way because it's too shootery, it's too Call of Duty-ish. So it's cool. I think it's cool that it's like so controversial.
Oh, of
you know
course.
what I mean?
Because it's like equal parts dude bro and equal parts like intellectual, right? But yeah, and I think right now it sounds like we're saying that Infinite is the weaker of the Shocks, and that's not true. Like they all have their merits. I mean, they all fall in some areas, but to say one game is weaker than the other is like, I don't think I can pick one game that is like the worst of the series.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to pick one that was the worst, but I would certainly say the original BioShock, in my opinion, is my favorite of all of them. And like I said earlier, it's as much as I had like a frustration with System Shock 2, I'm really glad I at least tried it, and I did put a number of hours into it, and I feel like even though I didn't complete it, I experienced a history lesson that I really appreciate, and I feel like I needed as a fan of Irrational and fan.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, like even giving a game an honest effort is commendable. Like you don't have to finish a game, or if you have to turn down the difficulty, like that's fine. I mean, you got to experience it in the end, and you usually and hopefully you came out better for it, right?
Mm-hmm. So
no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna ask Bomba, like, are you happy you stuck with it? Like, did you feel satisfied when you finished it, or did you feel like, man, that was excruciating for all the wrong reasons? I really didn't need to actually play through that. Like, what are your takeaway thoughts, like, a couple weeks after you've now finished the game?
Well, it was kind of a roller coaster for me. It started off wonderful. It got painful in the middle and towards the end. And, it was... I would like to say that finishing it felt great. And I'm sad to think that I don't think I'll ever pick it up again. I think I, traded this with Floyd in the messages, but this game might be more fun to watch than it is to play.
Yeah, well, when you watch somebody who knows what they're doing, and because I was not watching the exact same playthrough that you were watching on YouTube, I was watching somebody else's. But he was just kind of gliding through the game in amazing ways. And it is kind of impressive to watch somebody who knows what he's doing just kind of buzz through this game. There is like a beauty to it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Sean and I watch the same playthrough. And just to plug his channel, which, it's pretty decent, actually. He's Mr. Snuggle Duck. Great name. But no, yeah, he definitely knows his way around System Shock 2. Yeah, I think this is something that I won't be returning to either. Yeah, it does stand the test of time, but it's just not my thing. And I think that's perhaps what sort of got watered down throughout the ages with the other Shock games, is that it became more accessible for the mass audiences.
Yes, definitely. Maybe System Shock 2 was made as maybe a little bit of love for the old audiences.
Perhaps. I mean,
definitely.
You have System Shock 1, right? And that was even just looking at a screenshot to get a headache. I mean, just
yeah.
I might as well be flying a plane. This thing is just madness.
Well, I think, wouldn't you agree that this game could have been hosted on the retro side of the playthrough if somebody wanted to? If Rich came and said, I'm going to do System Shock 2, this month for a retro playthrough, nobody would have argued with them.
No, definitely.
I think this is kind of on the verge of it could have went either way.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing with computer gaming, is that it's okay. System Shock 2 in particular falls into that gray area of what we're going to call modern and what we're going to call classic, right? But a lot of computer games, they're almost timeless, right? Even though you can say, yes, this game is 15 years old, this game is 20 years old, but it still runs and plays really well.
Yeah, because there's things that can be done as far as optimizing graphics and resolutions and even gameplay tweaks and mods and everything. System Shock 1, as obtuse as it is, even more obtuse than System Shock 2, there are a lot of mods that make it even more playable.
Yeah, definitely. And I think at the time of this recording, System Shock 2 is on sale at GOG for $5. So
yes. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say it's something that people should play.
Or watch a YouTube
or
video.
at least watch a YouTube video. Okay, yeah. But yeah, since I watched a playthrough of it, Sean watched a playthrough of it. Bomba is, next to God because he beat this game.
Oh, I wouldn't quite say that.
Him and Disposed. And also, I actually, as of the time of this recording, I don't know if our other participant, Samus5678, I think is his username. I don't know if he checked in as completing the game, but he was doing pretty well.
He seemed to be doing
it.
okay. But yeah, no, I wanted to say, because I watched it and Sean watched it and Bomba played it. To me, this would have made a really awesome book. If this came out on print, I would have just loved it. Because it has everything that I love, that sort of sci-fi, rogue AI type stuff going on. And the fact that it's so dialogue heavy and, all the exposition and storyline comes through audio logs. I could have done away with all the visual element of it and just read the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. Go on Amazon. There might be a novelization of it.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Even Eco got a novelization.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They'll make them. Minecraft has a bunch of them.
A million
really
bazillion
bad.
Halo books.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, I agree with you, and that it almost ties into that conversation we had way back when we were talking about The Last of Us and whether or not that would make a good film. I think you are spot on in saying that System Shock 2's story would make a good book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you there. I would read that novel.
Oh yeah. Bumba?
Yeah, I'd do it. I think I'd do it in a second. You guys got the gears going in my head. I would love to pick up a System Shock novel and just go through that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because it's to me, it's that happy balance between the tension and exploration of something like Alien, and then the sci-fi, and there's more to the picture than you really know, something like 2001 or Philip K. Dick type stuff.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I'm ready to put a bow on this one.
Stick a fork in me, I'm done.
Well, you know what? This playthrough gave me a lot of. I was very anxious about, having not played it, and apprehensive about whether I should push through or, as I think my exact words on the forum thread were, life is too short, and I really like to play games that I enjoy rather than ones that feel like work and are excruciating, even if I have, this like pseudo responsibility to the good members of RF Generation to host a good playthrough.
If it's becoming work, if it's becoming a chore, I mean, just
right,
it's not worth it. I mean, like, games were meant to be played for enjoyment.
Right. So what I'm getting at is I'm really happy to put a bow on this, and I am happy that the people like Bomba, like Disposed Hero, and like Samus5678 who played the game and played through and completed and enjoyed it. I'm very happy for you guys, and I'm glad that I was able to, I'm glad that my choice played well with all of you.
Yeah, and
Yes,
vicarious experiencers like Sean and I thank you too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, cool. So this has been the Modern Playthrough wrap-up for November 2014. I am Grey Ghost. I was joined with my co-host Fleach and our special guest bombatomba. For December, we're going to do a shooter competition. Floyd, could you want to just explain, give us what games we're playing real quick for the December shooter?
Right, okay. Next month, we will be playing 4 games, so 1 game per week.
Okay, Cyanide for the Xbox. That was one of them. R-Type Final for PS2. Sin and Punishment, right. Otomies. Right.
So what we're asking everyone to do is to post their highest score for the week's particular game. First place score will, I believe it is received 10 points, and going further and further down. Although there is a 5-point participation score, so even if you don't make the top rank, as long as you participated, you get that sort of thank you type consolidation. And in the final few days of December, we will be doing a battle royale where you can go improve any score you like. There will be a modern and retro award. Or I should say, not award. What's the word?
A reward?
A reward. Yes, that's it. Most likely it'll just be a custom title on the site forum. But you'll be known as the retro or modern shooter king. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to playing this with you guys.
Cool. And as usual, more info on that and all of our playthroughs can be found at rfgeneration.com on the forums. So, gentlemen, bombatomba, thank you very much for guesting on the show with us tonight. I hope you had a good time talking with us.
Oh yeah, thank you guys for inviting me.
And Floyd, as usual, appreciate talking to you. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Well, that's the show, my friends. Thank you for listening, and a very special thank you to everyone who joined the playthroughs, and to our special guests, RetroRage and bombatomba, for joining us on the show. Remember to visit rfgeneration.com to participate in our playthroughs, discuss the games, or leave feedback on this podcast. Join us next month in our playthroughs for December 2014, in which Floyd and Rich team up to host the ultimate shoot-'em-up competition. Visit rfgeneration.com for the full list of retro and modern titles included in this playthrough. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the RF Generation PlayCast.